Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Background. Hey, I'm gonna adjust. Maybe actually JD could adjust it. JD, can you get up and make it go towards you a little bit? You want to turn the main camera? Boop. We got a lot of back. We want to just be on the red. We just want to be on the red. Just red it up. We just want to be red. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's perfect. That's beautiful. Look at that. We're red. Hey, all right. Where's JD? Where'd he go?
Poof, I'm here.
Did it go through? Did it finally go through?
Finally.
Oh, now we can continue on with our day.
Yeah, we can.
Anyway,
How am I
that's our
supposed to
show,
drink
right?
this coffee with a microphone.
I don't know. Have you thought about just not having a microphone and just sitting upstairs?
I mean, I could. I could also get one of them funny, silly straws.
What the hell's a silly straw?
It's a straw that's silly.
Oh, you know,
It's got a great
crazy?
sense of humor.
Here, wait, I'm trying to hear you here.
Can you hear me now?
I could, yeah. Oh, there's the dog.
Oh, look.
Okay.
Even
That's the headphones. Oh, there we go. Yeah,
Ooh, piece
ooh.
of candy.
But I don't want that loud because I want to make sure I can hear. All right. Okay. That was nice, actually.
That was. You know, if we had an award, that would definitely get one.
I have my soda today. Not that we're sponsored by Diet Pepsi yet. Yet. I've been working on it. I've been calling them up every day, and they're like, "This is Coca-Cola." I go, "Oh, give me the number for Pepsi."
And they're like,
I'm like, "Hello," and then they asked me if my warranty on my car has expired. Lean in a little bit more, JD. Why don't you come into frame? Oh, there you go.
Here we go.
Look how beautiful you look in frame now.
look, I feel beautiful.
You are beautiful. Let's get. Let's see. This is JD.
Imagine if I did my makeup before
The other
doing this.
camera. Look at that. That looks nice. We got a whole show today. JD, what's our show about today?
I imagine it's about Steph.
What do you want to talk about? I
mean,
figured I'd give today's show to you.
Can we talk about checkers? I really like checkers.
What do you like about
No.
checkers?
I like the fact that you can jump around a lot because it's like,
So you're not talking about food. You're talking about the game checkers.
I was talking about the game checkers.
Oh,
Oh,
what
now
do
that
you-
you bring that up, I
What do you
really,
like
really
about checkers.
like the game checkers or the food checkers.
Well, I don't
'Cause
know.
Now I want to talk about the food.
I'm trying to
checkers.
understand where this conversation is going.
The conversation is going to end up with us going to find a checkers or rallies, depending on what it is. In this
Well, what
part
is
of the
it you
country.
like about? So what are we talking about? Hamburgers or
Right now
or,
we've changed it to hamburgers.
all right. What do you like about rallies
I
or
think,
checkers or whatever it is?
depending on where you are in the country.
Yeah, yeah.
I personally think that they have the best French fries on the planet,
What
or at
is-
least used to before they changed it because something's weird lately.
For you think they're the best.
For me,
fries?
they're my favorite.
What
French fries.
What is it about these fries that like really make you enjoy it?
I love the amount of flavoring that they put into their fries, and I think that
Yeah.
they're like the perfect amount of crunchy, and a little bit soft on the inside.
Do they remind you of like when you were young, or is there like do they?
They remind me of happiness,
They remind you of happiness. What kind of happiness?
delicious happiness.
So food is important to you.
Yes.
Or I'm not telling you. I'm asking you.
no.
It's-
I'm answering you. Yes, food is very important in my life.
So it's a part of your love language.
Yes, it
That's
is.
interesting. What developed that to happen?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I've always just really liked food. Food's always just been something that's really important to me. And then once I was, like teenager, I started exploring and cooking on my own. And I kind of just fell in love with it.
What was one of the first things you ever cooked that made you feel like I could do this? Not cereal, but like something.
Oh man, you don't stir fry cereal?
Mom, is this fried Cheerios a thing? Yes, son. I'll be outside.
Just douse the pan in butter
Just-
and pour your Cheerios in.
That's the way you make food. No, seriously. So what was the first food you were like, this is really something I could do?
One of the very first things I ever made, I was like,
That you felt this is something I could do.
I literally just went into my fridge and took a whole bunch of whatever was left over. I made a
Cereal?
fried rice,
Oh.
stirred fry with like veggies and some meat.
Ooh, a stir fryer. Oh, that sounds tasty.
And it was really easy because all you did is throw it in the pan, heat it up.
Yeah.
Looks like it's done. Looks like I would eat it. It's done. Ate
Mhm.
it. It was good. And no one died.
Oh, you fed it to more than one person.
Yeah, it was me and my brother.
What did it feel like? Did they like it?
Yes. And then he also was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to cook too. And then my brother ended up becoming one of the best chefs I've ever met in my entire life.
So he went to school for chefery.
No, he just
I know it's culinary arts.
he went to school to for mother effery.
What? Did you say mother effery?
Yeah, because we can't curse.
Oh,
the YouTube.
How did it make you feel when he really enjoyed it?
I guess it made me feel really good. I was like, oh, I food's important to me.
Yeah.
This person enjoyed the food. Let me share in this experience.
Now he became he studied chefery.
On his own,
On his own.
not in school chefery.
And
For
what
funsies
was
chefery.
it like eating one of the first things he ever made, like really made, where he's like, I've learned this skill.
Oh my God, it was heaven. He ended up one of the first things he ended up cooking, just like all out. He ended up making this like lamb roast dinner that was like phenomenal.
And you were just like, this is the
I
thing.
was like, he's the chef in the family.
And what did you feel like? Were you proud of him?
Very.
And it like,
how did that bring you guys? Feed me more.
Feed me more. Did that bring you closer as brothers?
It definitely did. I would say that's probably one of the things that him and I, bond over.
All right. So what I just showed was a case of terrible conversation skills. JD talked about himself the entire time, and not once did he allow the conversation to go anywhere. But so today's show is about the power of conversation.
Ooh.
And we're gonna watch celebrities talking to one another, and they do the same thing you just did, which means you didn't gain any points with me. So during our conversation, as per the art of conversation, I gained points with you. I was getting points after points. Why?
Because you were letting me talk.
It wasn't that I was letting you talk. I was allowing you to talk in a way that you felt I was letting you talk.
For the record, whenever there's like a points exchange between, people building a relationship, can we have like the little sonic rings like thing pop up? Bling, bling, bling.
Yeah, sure. If that makes you happy.
I mean, it definitely would make me happy.
All right, so we'll do it. What is it about that makes you happy?
I just kind of like the noise.
Is it something that what did you play Sonic a lot when you were younger?
A little bit.
And you see, I just did it again. I just gave him an opportunity to talk about himself, and now, as you know, JD has a difficult time talking about subjects, but when it comes to him,
I hate talking.
You talked perfectly.
I was talking about the food.
Yeah, you were talking about something you were passionate about or cared about, which means, if that's the case, when you don't like talking about other things, it means that you don't care about it as much. But however, in this situation, the power of conversation is extremely important when it comes to developing relationships. I gained a lot of points. So now I can
use psychology to me.
Yeah, I can actually charge you those points. I can utilize it in a way where now I could ask you to help me with something, or I could ask your opinion about something, which, by the way, would also get me points because it would put value onto you, saying that, oh, he cares about my opinions and my thoughts. So I could get more points by
asking a favor.
It would cost points for me to ask your opinion, but then because I asked you and I gave you the points, I was like, oh, let me use a point to get the opinion. I would actually gain more points.
So basically, you'd be getting interest on the points?
I would, well, not that I would be getting, I would just be getting new points. It costs for me to ask you my opinion. If you didn't know me, you're less likely to give me your opinion. It's that whole thing when writers send in like scripts to producers and they're like, they never got back to me and told me if it was a good script. And it's like, not their job. Their job is not to tell you wrote a good script. That's the ego. That's the artist brain going, I need validation. However, in this situation, if I was friends with the producer, they're more likely to read my script. It will cost me points to get them to read it. However, they will feel like they have value to you, and therefore it will give you more points. And that's a psychological trick. But if you try to ask someone's opinion too early, you're not getting points. You're actually costing yourself more points because you're not getting points because I'm like, oh, you feel my opinion's valuable. You're actually taking points from me because you're wasting my time. Why should I tell you my opinion? I don't even know who you are. You have zero value to me for me to give anybody that time, right?
Interesting.
Anyway, but in this conversation, JD didn't enact the reversal. You didn't do what's known as the reversal.
I did not go, hey, what about you? Do you like to cook?
Yeah. However, if he had done it, I would have utilized the reversal back on him. I would have answered fairly quickly. Not like, yeah, I like cooking. What about you? Like,
these are not the droids you're looking for.
I probably would have said, cooking's always been something important to me. I don't like eating, but I like food, but I don't like cooking.
Oh yeah, because I think we've had this conversation before where you said that you enjoy you don't like the fact that it takes longer to prepare the food than it does to eat it.
Correct. I'm a very good cook. But anyway, in this conversation, I would have just said, yeah, I like cooking. I don't like cooking, but I do like food and stuff like that. But it's really interesting that you bonded over over cooking with your brother. Like I would have instantly turned it back, and that's a reversal. So you would have gotten the value of your question, meaning I would have gave you importance. Yeah, but you would have felt validated. Oh, he answered my question. That means he's interested in, he listens to me. But more importantly, the reason I'm getting points is because even though it's tact, the art of conversation, what's the most important part of a conversation?
I'm assuming it is the listening and making the person feel like they're being heard.
Yeah, you listen to hear, not listen to respond. So listening is more important than talking in a conversation. But that doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't talk in a conversation, but how you talk in a conversation. Like where I was giving you the fuel for the value.
Give me fuel, give me fire.
I was actually in control, even though technically you would be in control of the conversation's direction based on your answers. But I was in control of the value building. I was building points. And also, I was talking without the care of your interest in me. So I sacrificed. We talk about success takes sacrifice. You got to sacrifice a lot. I sacrificed my value of as a human being to your worth, so I could build the relationship and allow you to feel more valued than me. Therefore, turning you to be interested in me eventually. It's only been 7 years, but eventually you will ask a question that has nothing to do about you.
You know what? I really appreciate your efforts, Bob.
No problem, Chris. So today what we're going to do is we're going to watch 3 videos on Denzel Washington, just so we can. The reason I'm going to do 3 on Denzel is because
Denzel who?
Denzel Washington, the actor.
Oh.
He has 4 children, 2 in front of the camera, 2 behind the camera. Don't you do your research? Oh, no, you were busy recording. Anyway, did you do any prep for the show today?
I mean, I put together the arms.
Anyway, it's not a knock on you. It's just some of us have priorities. Anyway, see, I gained those points earlier so I can make fun of you.
Well,
every insult is a point.
Oh,
do you know that?
I did now.
If you have a
what if
friendship,
it's like a really, really like harsh like insult? Does that take away multiple points?
No, it's just one. It's 1 + 1 - 1 - 1. That's all it's gonna. You're either gonna gain a point or lose a point, but it's for everything you do. So if I say something to you,
so 2 insults in one, would that be 1 insult, or would that be
if I insulted you twice in 1 sentence, that's 1 point that you're gonna lose. But if I, or it's gonna cost me a point to be able to talk to you like that. But if I say, oh, you smell like crap. What are you eating horse poop? That's considered 1 point, right? But then I go, you definitely been eating horse poop. That's another point, right? So, however, you can see that in friendships. Like, I'm sure you have friends where, like, I don't know, hypothetically speaking, you were invited to a wedding and then you weren't, right? Like, if that ever happens, it's because you used up both the points.
I mean,
that's literally what happened.
Yeah, it's weird. Is it possible for someone to take away points, like a third party to take away points from that relationship?
No. Impossible. What it would do is influence that relationship. The thing that if another relationship influences a relationship's pros or cons, it's because that relationship already lost its points. If you had enough points for the relationship, let's say you and I had a boatload of points, right? But
maybe a long boat of points.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Okay. Just to get through this conversation. So, if somebody that you kind of just met approaches you, and I mean like just like you worked with maybe twice on set,
it's like, oh yeah,
oh hey Bob, what's up? It's like Bob again, and they're like, hey, Thomas, right? And you'd be like, yeah, and you're like, you can't trust that guy. The points that you have developed with that person will identify the value of what they say versus the points you have with me. Now, even in that situation of just knowing some Bob for 2 particular days of work, let's say we didn't have the points we have, and they said you shouldn't trust Tom. You might put more value into what Bob had to say. Points are very important. It's not necessarily the influence of others. It's the points that you have with that person. So
you're saying in that situation, the relationship with the most points would have the higher value, correct?
The relationship with the most points would have the most value, yeah. So if we had a ton of points and someone said that I'm a liar, you'd probably defend me. You'd be like, there's no way, he's never lied to me. And even if he is a liar, he doesn't lie to me. So then they'd be like, all right, I tried telling you. You're going to lose points with that person because you didn't give them the value of their truth, right? However, you don't have any points with them anyway, but they used up their points with you, even though you were costing the points that they thought they had with you.
And it's like they already took away the points.
They already, as soon as they were like, as soon as they insulted who I was to you, they lost points. Now, if they had more points than I did, then you would have lost points with me because they don't exist already. You were already looking for reasons not to be friends with that person. So it's not that they're influencing. It's not that Bob was influencing you not to like me anymore. You already were at that point where the points were spent so much.
So hypothetically, if I was invited to be part of a wedding party,
yeah,
and then asked to not be part of that wedding party, you're saying that that hypothetical person,
yeah, hypothetically speaking,
yeah, the relationship between that person and I was already
on the outs.
On the outs.
Yeah, it was not. The only way you could have fixed that is if you gave them your time, and by giving
prior to the thing happening.
Yeah, prior to it. But giving them your time means that it has nothing to do with you. You would have to basically start over the relationship, even though you have the history. The history would
hypothetically, if they wanted to.
Well, that's the issue. You have to want to always. That's the sincerity.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Hypothetically, if they wanted me to do that.
No. You have to want to.
Even if hypothetically,
if they didn't want you to, you can still fix that relationship. Because if you give somebody your time in a positive light, it will change. If I walked into the house every day and the first thing I said was, Jesus, it stinks in here, or I had a terrible day, I'm losing points with our relationship, right? But it comes to a point where you're like, I don't want to deal with this person anymore. But then one day I just start coming in and I'm like, today was a beautiful day. Or I walk in and I go, hey, man, look at you. Every time I see you, you make the day perfect. I would start healing that relationship unbeknownst to you. Because people don't really recognize the point system. I developed it based on my study of patterns and human behavior.
Can you write like a psychology book?
No. But I am writing the success book, which has TAC in it. It will go over TAC a little bit, not in depth. I do want to write a book about TAC, but I think the next book I'm going to write after the self-help book is going to be the Maven Wars, just because I want to do one for them, one for me.
Seriously, the Maven Wars just needs to happen.
Oh yeah.
Like just hearing.
Why does it need to happen? It doesn't
because
need.
It's amazing.
No one's gonna buy it though.
Says you.
No one will buy it except for my friends and family, and I'm not even gonna market it. If it gets published, it'll sell. If it doesn't get published, then I won't. What do I care? I don't make art for people. I make art for me.
You. I get that.
And if people like it, great. If I have to spend this one person was like, you gotta spend $500 in marketing to get your book She Heard, and it's like, but I don't want to. But then no one buy it. Okay. Well, then why make it? It was for me. I was dying. It was my last. It was something. I survived, and I was like, I want to finish something. Oh, well, people would love it. It's a great book. Okay,
they can buy it if they want.
Tell people. Well, I don't want to tell them. Well, then don't tell them. But you should spend $500. I don't want to spend $500. Why not? Everyone will love the book because I know I won't make $500 back. By the way, that's how you lose points. Because they weren't listening.
They were responding to respond. They weren't.
Well, they were listening to respond, but more importantly, they weren't hearing my needs. Just like in our conversation to start the show, you actually weren't listening. You were listening to respond, not listening to hear. Because you weren't listening to the empathy that was being presented, even though you felt my empathy, and you weren't looking for a way to have an inclusive conversation. As soon as you felt the value, and this is subconscious, by the way, not people don't think like this. It's not like they're like, oh, good, we're talking about me. But it's something you have to train yourself. You have to train yourself to be a good listener. You got to train yourself to have empathy. Like no one's just born like, I'm ready. Like there's a process, and you could always fix it. Not that you have to fix it, but if you're looking to build better relationships, you have to work on it. So in that conversation, the empathy you were feeling was fueling your need to talk about you. And that's why you were focused on you. But that's how most conversations go. Like earlier you were saying, have I, I'm not selfish. And I'm like, yes, you are. But it's not that you are a selfish person.
You're saying that human beings in general act selfishly.
Yeah, but it's like, what do I talk about? Oh, upping. Upping is not something we do to be mean. We're not trying to devalue people. We're just trying to relate. But empathy is not relating. Empathy is feeling what they're feeling and allow them to know that I feel it without saying I also have a dog. Because if
What kind of dog?
what kind of dog? Because the moment someone tells you how they feel, and then your response is, "I felt that way too," that's not empathy. But we don't do it to be like, hey, we're doing it because we care. We do it because we're like, oh, you got a dog? I have a dog. And it's like, now we can relate to the fact that we both had dogs. But in reality, I can't relate to someone having a dog just because I had a dog. And why can't I relate to them? Because I didn't have a dog like they did. The way I got my dog, how I grew up with my dog,
the way the dog was raised, the type of dog,
yeah. Even if I had a twin
the
brother,
personality of the dog,
if I had a twin brother and we had the same dog, we still didn't have the same experience with that dog.
Yeah.
It's just how. Anyway, so we're gonna watch some videos, and the reason I chose Denzel Washington in all three is just so we can see a response. Yeah, sure. By the way, that was listening to ignore. We need to see a repetitiveness in behavior. So we're gonna see 3 different variations of the behavior. We're gonna watch the videos, and then we're gonna analyze them as we watch them. So the first video is I believe this is with Jimmy Fallon. Okay, so we're gonna let's do it. Let's. All right. So just so you know, Jimmy Fallon is the guy on the right. Denzel Washington is on the left. If you can't tell by now, I'm sorry. Also, what happens if I do this? Oh, look at that. That's cool. All right, let's go back to this. All right. So anyway, just we're gonna listen a little bit, and then we're gonna analyze. Okay. So here it goes.
Denzel! They love you. Come on, eat it up. They love you. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me.
Thank you, and congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. I grew up always being a fan of yours because.
All right, first thing, let's ask JD what happened. What happened? What do you think? What do you think happened in that first interaction?
Well, Jimmy Fallon was kind of hyping him up, saying thank you for being here.
Well, we don't. The introduction doesn't count. The introduction. We're talking. What was their first interaction?
Right there.
Yeah.
It seemed like a very laid back, very chilled. Hey, how are you?
But what was happening?
I don't know.
Psychologically speaking, based on our conversation we just had, what happened?
I don't know.
All right, so I'll explain it and then I'll let it play again.
Ooh.
Denzel Washington gave Jimmy points because he complimented Jimmy by congratulating him, showing empathy for this is a couple of years. This is 2014 when Jimmy got the show, when he got the Tonight Show. So the first thing out of Denzel's mouth is about someone else, which is the other person in the conversation. First thing. Now watch what the first thing. Now that I said that, listen to what Jimmy's response to that is, other than thank you.
Ooh.
They love you. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me.
Thank you, and congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. I grew up always being a fan of yours because.
All right. So what happened?
He says thank you, but he goes back to Denzel.
No. So Denzel says congratulations, and he goes thank you, which is just being polite. It's not in there. And then literally at the thank you, he goes, I have always been a fan of you.
So he did the I also have a dog.
Well, it's not that he did. That's not upping, but the conversation is not about Denzel. Denzel does an excellent job during this interview of allowing Jimmy to basically boast him. It's about Jimmy. This interview is not about Denzel Washington. This interview is about Jimmy Fallon. So Jimmy's not necessarily listening, but Denzel is listening so well, he's allowing Jimmy to be quote unquote in control of the conversation.
Interesting.
So literally the first, I've always been a fan of you is not, how have you been?
He's Jedi mind tricking Jimmy.
Well, yeah, Denzel is an excellent listener. You'll notice that in all the and he's a well-spoken individual.
Isn't there there's an interview with Denzel and Mark Wahlberg together?
Yeah. Stop. That's in here. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. All right, so let's keep going. We're gonna go back a little bit just so you could hear what I'm saying again. Okay. So
it means a lot to me.
Thank you, and congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. I grew up always being a fan of yours because in a weird way we're connected.
Okay.
So the first I'm gonna ruin it for you. He's connected because his uncle, their uncles knew each other, or his uncle knew Denzel. One of it doesn't matter. But the beginning of this interview still has nothing to do with Denzel.
It's about Jimmy.
It's Denzel gave Jimmy the compliment. Jimmy took the compliment. Thank you. And then it's about how Jimmy knows Denzel, or how he has a 6 degrees relationship to Denzel.
Oh, 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon, but it's Denzel.
Yeah, but listen to how wonderful Denzel is really great at this. He just lets it happen, and he makes a couple of jokes and stuff like that. But watch. But if you look at Denzel's behavior, I don't know if you could see my mouse, but
They can't.
They probably can't, right?
No, they can't.
All right. So Denzel is his energy is like, subconsciously he's being polite, but he's like, I'm here to talk about me and my movie. But he's not giving that energy, like he's not purposefully trying to make it about him, because the host's job, or anyone's job in a conversation, is about inclusiveness. Include me in this. But he's not including him in it. It's just about Jimmy's experience of how they're related. So, all right. So here it goes.
We're brothers.
I know.
No. We are, what do you call it? My uncle, Kevin Fallon, played basketball for Fordham.
Oh, at Fordham, yeah.
Yeah.
We got Rams out there.
Fordham
Get out
in the
here.
house.
Are those Fordham Rams out there?
You got some Fordham fans out there.
All right. So this is really good what he's doing right now. What is Denzel doing?
He's listening and responding to the audience and including.
No, it's not about listening and responding. He's letting the audience be included. It's just inclusiveness. Denzel is radiating pure tact right here. He gave the floor to Jimmy, even though he's a guest. He's listening to Jimmy. As soon as he heard the crowd get excited, he knew he had to pull them in, because he heard their empathy, right? They're woo! And by the way, that's about the audience. Oh, I went to that school. Woo! It's about our school. It's not about Denzel. Now it's not about Jimmy for the audience.
Which is focusing on the with aspect of everything, correct?
Well, Denzel is focusing on.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, even though technically with isn't happening in this conversation, because Jimmy is talking about his experience.
With the with, I'm specifically referring to like Denzel focusing on the with aspect of the university, or this spirit.
No, because there is perspective here. So Jimmy's perspective has a personal relationship to the subject matter. With is always no one is involved in the conversation.
I was just talking about Denzel and the audience.
Denzel has a perspective in this, because I think he did, or his uncle went to the school.
We'll find out.
But the audience is excited because they went to the school.
Yeah, and so
right? Nobody has a personal connection to the item. In a with conversation, the subject matter there's no real connection to it, other than, oh, I love this red, right? Or even better, if I said, this is a really good red, so I took me out of it, and you go, this is a good red, and now we're talking about something that has nothing to do with us, and therefore we have allowed ourselves to be in a status it's a moot status, meaning like
we don't have any like personal connection. It's just
there's no agenda. There's no I can't be wrong.
It might have an agenda.
It could. Anyway, let's keep listening. So basically, he hears the empathy. This is why he's good at listening, and he allows them to overexpress their empathy, and he does it. He goes, "Oh, Fordham fans here, right?" So let's go back.
Played basketball for Fordham.
Oh, at Fordham, yeah.
Yeah.
We got Rams out there.
Fordham
Get out
in the
here.
house.
Are those Fordham Rams out there?
Is he saying I was a Fordham Ram?
No, I said we got Fordham Rams out there.
You got some Fordham fans out there.
How we doing this year? We doing?
That was the royal we.
Yeah.
That was a royal we. Again, it's inclusive. He's talking about ultimately, like, how's your team doing, right? And then he heard them, and he turned it into a joke to lighten the mood. He's getting points up the wazoo. This is why people like Denzel. He's got charisma, right? But it's because he has empathy and he has the ability to listen. Let's keep going.
Let's talk about something else.
Yeah. No, when I was there, I played freshman ball.
All right, so Denzel's doing a PR thing. He's talking about something that has nothing to do with the movie he's working on, right? But he's trying to get some. He's already given so many points.
He can have an I statement.
He can now exchange those points, but just keep paying attention. This is good. Yeah, so he's earned the right to do this because he's shown so much empathy already.
But they were very good.
Yeah, my uncle
the varsity.
he almost did. He almost.
All right, two things happened there. He says, when I went there, they were very good. So he was just putting himself in the position. Technically, it's an up, but he's earned the right to do it. But it was upping to talk about how good they were. So he's still giving value to the thing everybody likes.
And he was giving a personal perspective as well.
Yeah, that's the up part. But it wasn't like when I went there, we were the best. It was like when I went there, they were the best. Yeah, they were good.
Because it was not about him being
It wasn't out about him. It was just saying that he did go there. So now we know that he went there, which, by the way, inserts him into the conversation. All right, here it goes.
He was close to getting into the NBA, and then he went to something else.
Yeah.
But he told the story where he.
All right, so we're gonna rewind it a little bit. Let me tell you what happened first. So Denzel goes, when I went there, they were good. Jimmy says, oh yeah, my uncle, he just took it right back. He upped it. Look, Denzel's covers his mouth, by the way, because he's just like, oh, I guess I have nothing to say. I have nothing to add. This Jimmy is wasting his points. He hasn't earned any points in this conversation. Do you see how crazy that is?
I see. You can see it in the body language.
Absolutely.
I would point at the screen, but they can't. Oh,
yeah, they could kind of see it. So again, we're gonna rewind it. Denzel Washington is ultimately saying, when I went there, the team was good, but he wasn't saying the team was good because I was there. It's just when I went there, they were good, right? And then Jimmy's response is completely about his.
No, when I was there, and I played freshman ball, but they were very good.
My uncle
the varsity.
he almost did. He was close to getting into the NBA, and then he went to something else.
Yeah.
But he told the story where he ran into you in the hallway, or in like a dorm or something.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, we'll get to the next part in a second. But Denzel did the right thing. Right. Okay. Great. He's showing. It's not about me. It's about you. I get it. He's being very considerate. Very considerate. Right? Because normally an artist brain would be like, "That's awesome that your uncle did that." But when I was there, they would just take it back. But you have to earn those points, right? But Jimmy's still trying to connect to Denzel that they have something in common. But he hasn't connected with Denzel once yet. Because it's all about Jimmy's story about how his uncle, his amazing uncle, had a chance to be in the NBA. He's just boasting. This is value building, right? So here, let's keep going.
Said, Denzel, are you going to come to the game? And you said, no, I'm going to audition, or I'm doing some theater thing.
Oh, yeah?
And my uncle was like, well, he's never
Work
gonna
out all.
Yeah.
And he was right. He was right.
Here you are.
All right. So Denzel did something really great there. He turned the situation. He didn't say he was wrong. He said he was right as a joke, right? So he's not boasting here. He already knows he's a successful actor. He doesn't have to say, I am a successful actor.
Are we sure that he's aware?
He's definitely his house, car, his bank account, very aware.
Multiple bank accounts, most likely.
But he's very aware. So he's also showing empathy here. Why?
Because he's relating to Jimmy's story.
No, again, empathy has nothing to do with relating. Even though like the definition might sense that the idea what we're talking about with TAC, empathy is to feel or allow the person to be felt what they're going through, but it's not necessarily about you knowing that I went through it. Relating is, by the way, I know what you went through. Empathy is allowing someone to know that you feel what they're expressing.
Without taking away.
I
gotcha.
For the way we're explaining it with TAC. Okay. Empathy might be to relate to someone's emotion, but relating itself as a trick, like as a tool is not about saying.
There's two different strategies to that part of conversations.
Correct.
Gotcha.
But in this situation, Denzel just allows his uncle, Jimmy's uncle, to still have the value. That's why he says, he was right. He was right because he's letting he's still giving Jimmy points right now. This is just points after. He only spent 1 point in this entire conversation when he said, when I went. That's it. The rest of it has been point building.
I mean, it sounds like Denzel is a very wise investor here.
He's a very wise investor. But let's see. Let's keep listening.
You won Oscars. Yeah, my uncle did not play in the NBA.
Let me rewind it a little bit. Let me rewind.
And he was right. He was right.
You won Oscars. Yeah, my uncle did not play the.
Okay, so Jimmy actually devalues his uncle. So Jimmy just lost points with his uncle. Why?
Because he's like, he didn't end up getting.
He was saying his uncle's wrong. Because Denzel goes, oh, he was right. I didn't become successful. That's ultimately what he's agreeing with that statement. And then Jimmy qualifies Denzel by saying, yeah, because you won Oscars and awards. Denzel didn't say that. Jimmy said it to qualify Denzel. But that's not point giving. It's not, because it's still about Jimmy. But Jimmy's losing points with his uncle because he says, what does he know?
It sounds like Jimmy spends a lot of points.
Oh. The host that spends the most points is
Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien. He's the worst interviewer. He doesn't even listen. Anyway, and it's all about how do I make this a joke. Anyway, let's rewind it a little bit.
And he was right. He was right.
You won Oscars. Yeah, my uncle did not play in the NBA. But he did well for himself. No, he's a good guy. But he.
Okay, so Jimmy knows that he insulted his uncle, and so what he did was he boasted his uncle. He did all right for himself. He did well for himself, because in that moment he recognized, people can't see what I see, but what I'm seeing is Jimmy felt a slight bit of anxiety. He pictured his uncle hearing the show. He pictured himself maybe getting upset. We don't know if his uncle's alive or dead, but the point is he still felt that, and that's why he qualified his uncle. See that? All right, that's TAC 101. By the way, this is what when people talk. This is what I hear.
But he did well for himself. No, he's a good guy. But he's a good guy. He actually
just threw him under the bus.
I did, right? Yeah.
All right, now Denzel, by the way, is not making it about him, but because the audience was laughing, the audience
dictated the reaction.
They were calling Jimmy's BS. So Denzel is hearing the audience, so to empathize with the audience, he's adding to what they already know. And that's why it's getting a bigger laugh. You see that?
He's a good guy. He actually
just threw him under the bus.
I did, right? Yeah. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. But your coach.
Okay, so real quick, what's that, a minute and 42 seconds?
Yeah.
Have we talked about Denzel Washington yet?
Once.
No, not really. Denzel talked about himself once, but did we talk about Denzel? When I say we,
are you talking about us in this conversation?
No. In this conversation, there's two people.
Oh yeah.
There's three if you count the audience. They count as one. The three people involved in the conversation did not talk about Denzel yet. Denzel said his name once
to set him up for one thing, but it's all been about Jimmy and his uncle.
That's right, and the school.
And the school.
All right, so let's keep going and see what happens. Go back. I know I keep stopping, but this is how we analyze. By the way, I hear this and see this in real time.
So you see it in fractions of moments.
Yeah, like you probably hear me watching videos all the time, and you're like, oh, he's not doing anything. When I'm studying human interaction.
I mean, given that we're in, COVID times, that's probably the best way to do it without potentially getting.
Well, I have to keep practicing. I have to keep my skill up. So I watch people talk, but I'm also learning. I'll watch somebody talking about a specific skill. So I'm learning the skill, but I'm also learning about that person. I'm learning. I'm understanding cues. So I'm still keeping my, and I'm not that I'm judging people, but I'm understanding what's going on. So you might hear someone say, oh, my book sold 300 copies. And I'm hearing, what does that have to do with anything he's teaching?
That's a boast.
It's a boast. So in my brain, I go, oh, he's boasting because he's trying to qualify his knowledge. So that means he sometimes, what that dictates is if somebody says, well, I sold 300,000 copies, but they're teaching a class on writing, they're going through the imposter syndrome moment. So they have to boast to qualify the knowledge because they might be having a feeling of inadequacy. They might be thinking, well, maybe I'm a fraud, even though they might be a top-selling author. There's still that. Why do we need to know?
It's so weird that humans have just those impulses.
They're taught to us. No one is born with these impulses. They're insecurities. They're whatever, and you have to train yourself to tool these out. Anyway, let's keep going.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, but your coach was
PJ Carlissimo.
So PJ Carlissimo
Was my coach, yeah.
he's the man.
Yeah, yeah.
My uncle through his
Okay. JD, what happened?
The computer froze.
No, what was the lines? What were the words you heard?
They were talking about PJ Carlissimo.
Yeah, but what happened in there? So Jimmy goes, your coach was PJ so-and-so. And Denzel goes, yes, he was. He was confirming it. And then literally the next thing out of Jimmy's mouth was my uncle. So listen to that again. Sorry, this is what I like about people.
but your coach was
PJ Carlissimo.
so PJ Carlissimo
Was my coach, yeah.
he's the man.
Yeah, yeah.
My uncle through because I wasn't a great student in high school, but I tried to get into Seton Hall, and I had
Wait a minute.
All right. Okay.
That's twice. Sorry, that's multiple times now in this conversation where the audience has popped out with like responses or reactions or like cheers, and Denzel has been the one every single time to acknowledge them.
Yeah.
Well, to speak out to them.
But more importantly, what happened with Jimmy
At what point?
just now?
He brought it back to him and his uncle.
All right, we'll listen to it again. Listen to it again.
because I wasn't a great student in high school, but
Yeah.
my uncle through because I wasn't a great student in high school, but I tried to get into Seton Hall, and I had
What did he say?
He's talking about him trying to get into Seton Hall and what he was doing.
How many minutes we into this interview? Almost 2 minutes.
We're almost halfway done with this interview, this video clip, and not once have we talked about Denzel other than, I went to Fordham.
Yeah, right. But the only reason that's important is because Jimmy's telling a story about Fordham, which has nothing to do with Jimmy. It has to do with his uncle. So he's just bragging that he has a connection to Denzel. But more importantly, what did he just say here?
Me.
He's talking about I wasn't good in school. Like it's about him. Yeah, it's all about him. Right? Listen.
Yeah, yeah.
my uncle through because I wasn't a great student in high school, but I tried to get into Seton Hall, and I had
So he's listening.
Wait a minute.
Seton Hall. Yeah. How we doing this year?
And Fairleigh Dickerson. Rutgers.
See, Denzel's feeding into the empathy and the humor of it. He's he knows the audience is in on it. So like the way they're responding, he's like, oh, let me play into. So that's good charisma. That's what he's listening so well. He can cue in the natural jokes. And he's not a comedian.
Sarah Lawrence.
Jimmy right now is upping. Denzel got the value the first time. And then now when this happened again, he was getting the value again. He was taking over the spotlight. And Jimmy went big. He did that big, right?
Yeah.
So Jimmy upped him in that moment to take back control of the conversation. So yeah, we'll watch it all.
Wait a minute.
Seton Hall. Yeah. How we doing this year?
And Fairleigh Dickerson. Rutgers.
Sarah Lawrence.
Oh, and I didn't catch this before. And then he said no afterwards. The reason he did that is because he took the spotlight and then he wanted to bring it back to what he's talking about. I bet you he's going to keep going about this story he was doing.
So he wrote a letter of recommendation for me.
Yeah. You do that
I do that.
all the time.
I do.
And it aggravates the crap out of me. You know how when I talk about boobs and you're like, you do that all the time and it aggravates me. Because what that is saying is why am I here? I'm unimportant in this conversation. I'm here so you can talk. And that's not a conversation. That's you're dictating or delegating some sort of emotional interest of self-recognition to, elevate your value to me or something like that. But not that you do it on purpose. As you can see, it's a natural thing. I'm like Denzel. That's my job. If you notice, most of our conversations, either I'm talking about a subject matter, but not about me, or I'm asking you questions to delve deeper into the subject matter of what we might be talking about or what you mentioned. However, it's never the other way around. So I'm Denzel and you're Jimmy Fallon in this situation. Not that I have this up here for that, but to give reference, because you are seeing what I'm talking about.
I am.
Okay.
I have a question though.
Okay.
Should we get suits like this?
No, I don't like suits. It's not part of my brand.
I didn't say we'd wear them.
I mean, I have a suit like that, but Denzel's wearing it.
Fair enough.
All right, here goes.
to get in Seton Hall.
Oh, yeah?
And I was so dumb that I still didn't get
They had
into
the
Seton Hall. Yeah,
they had the
no.
checkerboard
Yeah.
gym floor.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, Seton Hall.
Oh no,
believe
I
they
could,
do.
I
Anybody
couldn't
Seton
play
Hall?
to that. So yeah,
They still had no Seton Hall.
no, yeah. But they did.
All right, Denzel. He didn't necessarily break the rule. He's just reinforcing Jimmy's story by saying, because he didn't say, "Oh, I went to that school. They have the checkerboards." He was just literally saying that they have the checkerboards, right? That is a good form of empathy.
Because he's saying that he remembered the thing without saying, "Oh, hey, oh yeah, I went there.
Yeah.
I remember that."
It's the same thing as if you said, "I have a dog," and my response was, you said, "Oh, I have a Rottweiler," and I go, "Ooh, Rottweilers! They got like the brown paws and everything. They must. Your dog must look gorgeous." I'm recognizing that I know about the Rottweiler
Without bringing it to me,
without
you.
saying that I've owned a Rottweiler.
And he also goes back without any prompts and includes the audience again because
That's
they've
right.
already been brought into the conversation, what, 2 or 3 times?
Yeah, this has been a really good interview for Denzel
almost over.
because he doesn't have to do anything. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, let's keep going.
This is why
That's why I hate people.
well, I mean, it's also why people should do more interviews, especially with people like that. So it's like, oh, I can sit here with a nice.
This is a bad interview for Denzel's brand. It's good. It's good where you're seeing like his brand as he's empathetic and like, wow, he's a great listener. But we're not learning anything about Denzel to connect with him outside of, oh, he lets Jimmy talk. This is why he's a bad interviewer. Anyway, let's keep going.
They did. They had that.
They
yeah.
got the checkerboard gym floor still. Yeah.
They don't, not anymore. No. Now they don't even shoot a basketball. It's lasers. It's a totally different game now.
I was watching you and LeBron. You're quite a player.
Not that bad.
Oh, all right. Well, this is nice. Denzel is aware that this interview is not about him. So he just
talks about Jimmy.
Yeah, but he said he's earned the points to do that. But he goes, I saw you and LeBron's. Because he already knows it's about Jimmy. So he just helped elevate Jimmy by saying, you hang out with LeBron. LeBron's or whatever his name is.
James.
LeBron James. Keep listening.
Yeah, right? But he's the one that banked off the IT guy's head. He's got skills, man. He's a good sport, man. We had Shaq on the other day, and God, he's a big guy.
He's a big boy.
You don't realize how big these players are when you watch on TV. They're this
He's
big.
got shoes like he's like 20-somethings.
He had a suit jacket. He has his own line of suits, and he goes,
he has to.
He did it again. So Denzel did not say that he knows Shaq, but he's saying, he's got those big shoes.
He's saying that he understands and he can relate without going, oh, yeah, I can relate.
Well, he's saying he knows Shaq.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's got those big shoes. Right? His shoes are like that. Right? That's Rottweilers. Yeah, they got those beautiful brown paws. That's what he just did.
They got feet.
So Denzel's doing an excellent job here.
Right.
oh, exactly.
I mean, you can't like go to the
you can't go to the Gap.
No,
I mean, it's got to be a really big Gap. Yeah.
Right.
Big guy Gap. Yeah, they have baby Gap and they have giant Gap.
Big Gap. That's right.
Big Gap. But I tried on his jacket because he was like, it's one size fits all or something. Or I go, well, that's not true. I mean, how can that fit me? He goes, oh, try. So I tried his jacket on, and looked like I was wearing a graduation gown.
Right.
Like a giant. It was awesome.
I love that. I love Denzel. I was like, yeah, right. Cool. Now you get the reference. Do you see why I do that?
Yes.
Because why am I? I'm not nothing. I'm not there for anything other than for you to talk, right? But I do. I do that to so many other people.
Yes.
Now Now you're learning some of my cues when people are just going on. Yeah, cool. That's awesome, man.
Well, I've known that the coo was your cue like for a while.
Cool. All right. See, he's known. JD's known.
I've known the coo.
JD just said out of his mouth, "I've known."
Yeah.
The coo. See, you're not relating. You're just ultimately telling me that you've known.
Mainly because you do the coo to me.
Yeah, but again, it's about you right now. Do you see how that works?
I see.
Yeah, you're not doing it on purpose.
You've Jedi mind tricked me to be more aware.
Yeah, which is gonna. When I showed you the upping, this is basically me showing
God.
you how ridiculous people are.
I hate conversations now.
Yeah, see, again, JD's talking about himself. Why do you hate conversations now? See,
because the upping happens.
I just gave you the floor. The upping happens. What is upping?
When people try to,
See, now JD knows I'm a master of tack and an expert in the definition, and yet JD feels the need to, because I asked him, but this was a great opportunity to reverse.
Oh.
Where you could have been like, well, I know what it is. I've seen it in action and it really bothers me. But, what made you discover it? Like, how did you become aware of it, Thomas? And then I would say, you think?
Yes.
Not that I'm going to answer that because I gave you the question, but.
I have a question for you.
Oh, my God. This is for him, but he's asking me. Go ahead.
Have you, at any point in your entire life, met someone who you have deemed an equal in tack, or someone that has surpassed you?
I've never met. Well, when I was learning tack all the time, but once I started understanding, like because I developed tack, I developed the foundation of it and understanding and breaking it down. When that happened, only a couple people I met where I'm like, oh, this is a good. They're getting some points. They're doing good. Believe it or not, John Bastow is actually a highly qualified tacticianist.
Really?
Yeah, he's a really good. That's how he gets people to do things for him. He's really good with empathy and listening. Even though he asks a lot of people, he gives a lot of himself to people. Like if you do for him, he will without question do for you, and that makes him an empathetic, compassionate listener. So he's good at it. As far as other people, Doug Jones is really good. Doug Jones is I would say 100% selfless in a conversation. He's the first person that wants to hug you, to let you know you matter. He's the first person that's listening to you. Oh, tell me about it. Even though you're there to get the autograph, and you're like, I love your biggest fan, and they're like, really, what? That's great. Thank you for your love, and so he's very good at like just taking the energy and not going, yeah, well, I had a great time on that movie. He doesn't do that. Unless you're like his friend, and even then, he still has that really great quality to listen.
So
no.
So you're saying you've met people that have had really high levels in tack, but you've never met anyone that you would deem as an equal or superior.
Maybe you.
Yeah, no. Terrible.
No, because I'm hyper aware of the technique. And the only time I break the rules is when I want to. But other people are breaking the rules because they can't help it. So that's why I don't think they don't have control. If you have control over the ability to shut it off, you're a master tactician who can really take it to the next level. Like at any minute in any conversation, I can make somebody hate me, and then by the end of that conversation, they're like, "Can I have your number?" I've done it many a times in my life as an exercise, and also to prove points and to get myself out of crap, to get myself out of situations.
Exit stage left.
Exit stage. Let's keep listening.
Let's go back.
Let's go back.
We also have another thing in common. We were also both directed by Spike Lee.
Oh, okay.
He directed our opening.
Okay. What just happened there? We got something in common. Spike Lee. And I love that Denzel's just like, oh yeah. Denzel's been in like 4 or 5 Spike Lee movies, and he's like, amazing. And Jimmy, all right, let's just keep listening. This is too funny.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, on our opening for a show, and we went around. Here's the fun thing about
Do you do
Spike.
the spinning cameras?
No. Spike. That's what we're missing. We're missing the spinning camera.
Yeah. It's not too late. It's not too late.
We went like guerrilla style. Went all around New York City late at night, like midnight, and got shots of me leaving.
All right, I want to kind of let that breathe a little bit and let people hear that again. So he's like, Denzel added value to it. He goes, oh, did he do the spin around thing? And Jimmy's like, no, come on, Spike Lee, come on, why didn't you do that? And then Denzel goes, it's not too late. It's not too late. He's still giving Jimmy the empathy. He's still giving Jimmy the points. He's still giving Jimmy the floor. This conversation hasn't been about Denzel once in reality.
And we're 3.5 minutes in.
Yeah, so let's keep
almost
going.
over.
Both directed by Spike Lee.
Oh, okay.
He directed our opening.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, on our opening for a show, and we went around. Here's the fun thing about
Do you
Spike.
do the spinning cameras?
No. Spike. That's what we're missing.
By the way, when he says, did he do the spinning camera? That's the same as saying, I've worked with Spike Lee. Except he's showing true empathy. He's talking about something that is technically, the way you were putting it earlier, that would be in the form of wit. It's not a true with conversation, but he's showing that he knows who Spike Lee is without saying, I've worked with Spike Lee. So that's important to him. That's the, Rottweilers have brown feet.
Listen, we're missing the spinning camera. Yeah,
it's not too late.
You know,
it's not too late.
We went like guerrilla style. Went all around New York City late at night, like midnight, and got shots of me leaving. Walking past the library, Lincoln Center. But then we did a lot of food. We went to Katz's Deli.
Oh, yeah?
We went to Gramercy Tavern. We went to Red Rooster. And what happened was we edited together. It was just basically me eating.
Now, what's better, Katz's Deli or Carnegie Deli?
All right. So what did Denzel do right there?
He's asking about Jimmy, what he did.
He's listening with empathy because he's remember earlier I was like, what is it about the food that you really liked? Or what was the first thing you cooked where you thought this is something I can do?
Is that why you picked the topic of food earlier? Because it was relating to this
No, you
conversation?
did.
Oh, yeah.
You said Checkers. I thought you were talking about the restaurant, and then you made a pun. And he was like, "No, the game." And I says, "Oh, you want to talk about the game?" And he goes, "No, now I kind of want Checkers or Rallies, wherever's closest." So
well, depending on where you are in the country, there are Checkers or Rallies.
Well, that's not the point of what I'm saying. But you led the conversation. I just was giving full empathy and listening. That I allowed it to go wherever you wanted, and I asked questions based on that. That's why I also did a clarify. It says, are you talking about the game or the food? What do you want to have a conversation about? And he says, food. I'm really hungry right now. So I let you dictate the conversation with your answers through jury talk. And then I ultimately got you to talk about whatever by doing what he just did.
There needs to be like a little servant that brings us like banana shakes from Checkers.
All right. Now what JD did, he lost the point because he was not listening. And what he said had nothing to do with the context of what we were talking about. That means you were listening to respond. That means you had a thought in your head, and then the thought of your head was what you ended up ultimately saying.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. All right, let's keep listening.
I don't want to put you. You're in trouble already. Katz. Now Katz is on Houston, right?
Yeah, Katz is downtown. I mean, that's a good corned beef right there.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But Carney's a good time too. I mean, I don't know what to say. That's a lot of pressure. I'm going to say.
I think one day we should just go and do a test. I think we should go to one and then go to the other.
We'll do that. All right, we'll do a test.
We'll do that as a part of the show.
Right now, I'm just going to be in the.
All right, Denzel tried to bring it back to him, which he's earned the points to do that. And right away, Jimmy deflected, which you do all the time, and it aggravates me. It's one of the things that I don't like. So you know how like boobs, you don't like the boob conversation?
Yep.
I hate when you do that. Because that means you're not interested in my conversation. You're not interested in me, and you're not interested in the value of our friendship. That's what that move means. So you lose a point.
That's a lot of stuff for just 1 point.
Because it's whatever the moment creates, it's a point loss. So it's not like each thing is like, it's just the totality of that moment. So Denzel tried to give the ball to Jimmy to get back on track, and Jimmy just spent another point going, me. So he does it again. He goes, he goes, why don't we, he's even being inclusive. Why don't we do a thing to help your show by filming us going around eating? That's what he said. Why don't we watch? Listen to
we'll do that. All right, we'll do a test.
We'll do that as a part of the show.
Right now, I'm just going to be in the middle. I'll just say Sarah Lawrence. They have the best. If you ever tried it at the cafeteria,
all right. So what happened there was ultimately what happened there?
The best corned beef.
Yeah, he broke it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the end of the
so
he brought it back to.
No, Jimmy just wanted to finish what he was saying originally. He wanted to answer Denzel's question because it was about Jimmy, and Jimmy wanted to get the answer out because he wanted the people to know. He wanted the audience to know where he eats. And it still had nothing to do with Denzel Washington.
That entire interview literally had nothing to do. Oh, look at that.
No, that's your mic.
Oh, that's my thing.
Yeah. Yes, correct. It had nothing to do with Denzel Washington. Now, I see that all the time when people talk to me. So again, when you say you're not a selfish person, I agree. You are not a selfish person, but you do selfish things, but it's not like we don't choose to do things all the time.
You're saying that it's more of an instinctual thing for human beings.
Well, yeah, it's based on your training. Like you were trained to do that. just like you were trained to like heavy metal. You were trained to like the color scheme you like. You were trained to like the guitar that you think is the greatest guitar you've ever played, but yet you've never played more than, say, 12 guitar. How many guitars have you played that were not Schecters?
A lot.
Oh, you told me once that you only played like maybe 3 other kind of guitars, but I guess that.
Well, no, I think the conversation was something that I've owned. I think that's what it was. I've not owned a lot of guitars.
No, all right. Well,
But
whatever the case may.
I've definitely played a lot of guitars in my lifetime.
But you haven't played them like let me try this guitar. It was like let me just play it because you have it. It wasn't like I want to try a Fender for a while and see what a Fender feels like. It wasn't like that.
It was not like that.
Yeah. All right. So but anyway, but you trained yourself to like the Schecter. More importantly, Schecter and the people you know that you
Jeff
have
Loomis
relationships
trained
with
me to
trained
like
you to
Schecter.
like Schecter. That's why I like PRS. One of my greatest experiences with that guitar also matches the experience with my grandfather because he had a Les Paul, and the Les Paul is ultimately a Gibson, and a Gibson is basically the offshoot. Well, the PRS is an offshoot of the Gibson, so it's like my own guitar, but it has a connection to my grandfather. But at the time, it also has a connection with the feeling that I had.
And that is why you don't use it when you play live anymore.
Well, I don't do that because it fell, and I was like,
Yeah, I meant to say that it was like you're protective of it. And you're like,
I'm very protective of it. Yeah. I mean, one of my friends used it and then cracked it open, and I didn't care. Like literally, if he was like, "Oh, I dropped it," I would be like, "Oh, okay." But he was like, "Oh, it was like that," and I was like, "I have a photographic memory." If I open the guitar up in the case and there is no crack, that I would have definitely noticed. You've seen the crack, right?
I think
It's like a circle.
I honestly I don't remember what your PRS looks like.
Oh.
If I've seen it, I've only seen it once.
It looks like my acoustic.
Oh, it's got like that same like
Same
red.
color. Yeah. I had the acoustic first, and then when I went for the PRS, I
Like-
wanted to match it.
That makes sense.
I like that color.
How come you didn't match the bass?
The bass, because the bass wasn't for performing or anything.
So you just got the bass so that you could like record. And have it?
Record, yeah.
Wait, so did you get the bass before or after Tenebra disbanded?
Before.
Because you've had that bass for like 20 years.
Yeah. People were like, "Who's gonna use the bass in the band?" And I was like, "Me." And like, "You're gonna use it live?" No, it's for me. It's my bass. And they're like, "But you play guitar?" And I go, "Yeah, I also play piano."
And drums.
And drums, but not on the stage. I have played the bass on stage though. Like one time we got a bass player that was like not a bass player, and he didn't have a bass, but we needed somebody for a show. So I taught him the very simple songs. Like I was like, we'll just play these simple things. Yeah, by simple, like he definitely became a bass player by the time. But anyway, during one of the songs, I was just looking over. I'm like, this was at the time when I cared. Now I probably wouldn't care as much. But I looked at him. I was just like for example, like the way I acted on the acoustic show,
Mhm.
that's how I would act today. Whereas like after I recognize that it's just a crap experience, at least I'm getting to play, and then I just make fun. Like I just turned it into a fun experience.
And then wipe your sweat all over my face. while
That
I'm
was
playing.
funny because we'll always have that moment. We'll always have that moment. You'll never not be able to remember that moment.
I'm living it right now.
Yeah, good,
It's
good,
making
good,
me.
good.
Oh, yes.
Now you know how I feel when you talk. All right, so it's like, oh my god.
Oh God, make him stop.
But anyway, so at the time I was watching the kid and he couldn't play the song, so I was at the next song. I was like, all right, and I just put my guitar down and I grabbed the bass. I was like, you can sit down, and I played the rest of the show. And then when it came to my solos, I just played the solos on the bass. And people were just like, why don't you play bass? And I was like, because I want to play. I don't even want to play guitar. I was like, I just want to sing. But anyway, all right, let's watch another interview.
Ooh,
I don't know which one this is. I think this is Jamie. Oh god, this one.
Jamie Foxx. Wait, is it Jamie Foxx and Denzel?
Yeah, they're all Denzel. I want to see the
yeah.
pattern. But again, keep in mind, I'm showing you what I see based on my studies. All right, here it goes.
I got jokes. Put me in the movie. I got jokes.
Ooh, pros. That's nice.
The person who's about to walk out, 2 Oscars, 3 Golden Globes, Tony under his belt. King Kong ain't got shit on him, but that's not the end of this. When you think about, say if it was Michael Jordan,
All right, just real quick. this is an intro. We're not going to discuss this, but what he's doing is he's actually boasting for himself. Why is that?
Because he's building value to the person that he has on his show.
Correct. It's all about, this is about him. So of course he's going to, the next person I got on my show is bang, bang, bang. Right. So anyway.
I see what you say.
Jordan should have got the MVP every year.
But we're not including the intro because
but we're still analyzing because we're
analyzing because we are. But we're like the last interview. It's basically the moment they start having the interview.
This man probably should win every award every year. Give it up right now, ladies and gentlemen. Denzel Washington in the building.
Intro. Man.
Gee, it's good to see you, man. Let me ask you this.
I ain't got no money.
The first thing I want to say is how many people come.
All right. First of all, Denzel started off with a joke. That's excellent. He knows that Jamie is a comedian. He knows that Jamie likes to laugh. So he just told Jamie without saying it, I'm here to have fun. So that gives Jamie the freedom to feel comfortable. He did that to make Jamie feel comfortable.
And I'm assuming that also shows that Denzel is familiar with the person that he is talking with.
Correct. Yeah, without having to say, yeah, I know you. But more importantly, he just got a point for that. All right, so let's keep going.
Some bad boys.
Look at this. All right, okay. All right, okay.
He's complimenting his pants.
Yeah. But Jamie Foxx just lost the point.
What?
Because he just did a Denzel Washington impression. Not that it was a bad impression, but that's about me, right? Oh, look what I can do. I could do you. So I'll bring that back again. So, yeah.
The first thing I want to say is how many people come.
Some bad boys.
Oh yeah, we missed that too. Denzel points out Jamie Foxx's pants.
I didn't
know what you were talking about.
Yeah, talking about the thing we're watching.
So, more importantly, Denzel just got 2 points because he got the point for the joke and he got a point for the pants. So remember he did that to Jimmy Fallon.
He did.
Sat down. He's like, "Hey, congratulations."
Gave him the compliment.
Now they're going to be talking about his pants for a little bit.
All right, okay. All right, okay.
No, I'm just saying.
What was that break? What was that moment that you felt like?
I'm still waiting.
You still wait. Do you actually feel that way? Because when I watch your movies, a person who've done.
When I watch your movies, why's he got to say that? This is now everything after that is about his experience watching Denzel's movies.
Ugh.
So much, it feels like you could shut it down.
It's not a competition, and I'm not competing against others. I'm just trying to get better. That's why I act on stage, act in the movies, and direct and produce because I like new challenges.
Right.
All right. So far, this is a good interview, though, and the reason is because Denzel got to talk about himself. By the way, just to keep you in track, he's doing this interview to talk about, I think, Equalizer 2. We haven't mentioned Equalizer 2 yet. It's not a part of the conversation, but we're getting inside something important to artists and fans. Oh, all right. I'm hearing who Denzel is and like how his brain works, and we're learning a little bit about. This is the secret to PR. Is like when you're doing an interview, you're trying to get points with your fan base. You're trying to build emotional connection, and this is how we do it because we can have empathy for what he's going through and what he likes and dislikes, right? So let's listen to that again just to kind of, and also I could break this down into success, but
it feels like you could shut it down.
It's not a competition, and I'm not competing against others. I'm just trying to get better. That's why I act.
All right, so he said, I'm not competing against others. I'm just trying to get better. That talks about his brand. He's inclusive. Which is through his action. We know he's inclusive based on the way he's doing his 2 interviews, right? But he's saying his head is down. He's trying to just better his craft. So he's saying a couple things. He's saying, look, I'm going to appreciate you. You're never going to be competition to me, just like I'm not competition to you. It's not about that.
He's saying that the art part is for him.
Yeah, art is important, but even in this business, it's not no one. You shouldn't compete against other people. So he's showing selflessness. He's like, no, he talks about it later on, I think, about elevating other people. Like when you listen to his other speeches and stuff like that, it's always about helping people. He's really, really good president.
On stage, act in the movies, and direct and produce because I like new challenges.
Right. How many times do you say no? And have you ever said no to something that you wish?
Okay. So Jamie Foxx, in my opinion, just lost the point. because Denzel, unless it's the cut, again, I don't know. Maybe they had a long conversation. They cut it for the interview for the show, but the way it's cut is Denzel just said, "I really like to do acting, producing, and directing. For the new challenges." And Jamie Foxx's response is, "How many projects have you said no to?" So he's listening to respond because he had the question he had to get out. So watch, listen to the change.
New challenges.
Right. How many times do you say no? And have you ever said no to something that you wish you had said yes to?
Isn't that funny?
I turned down 7.
Ah.
They wanted me to play the Brad Pitt part,
Yeah.
I thought the script was too demonic.
Right.
Then I saw the movie, I was like, oh, I blew it.
No,
But it's, worked out all right.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, so we're learning trials and tribulations. I talk about that all the time. When you're marketing yourself, it should be about your adventure. We're discovering his adventure right now. He's not saying I auditioned for 7 and then I turned 7 down. He's saying that, but at the same time, he's like he's regretting the choice, and he's like, but he's also saying why he turned it down. His motive. Remember, I said, what is his motivation? It seemed demonic. That's also saying.
Well, that's something that I think we've talked about on the show prior. Is that he's very self-aware of the brand that he represents and the roles that he takes on.
Denzel. Yeah.
So that totally that makes sense. Hearing that thing, like if he saw the whole thing as being quote unquote too demonic, I could totally see why he would turn it down.
Yeah, exactly. He's basically we know why he turned it down. We see his regret for turning it down, especially in 2 seconds. Watch.
I mean, you got everything else.
Yeah.
We always talk about there were certain things that you.
Oh wait.
No.
He's like,
worked out all right.
He's like, after I seen it, I blew it.
How that movie would have been completely different with Denzel.
Oh, completely different. But more importantly, listen to what he says at the very end. He says, "But everything worked out." So he's qualifying his mistake, which means that actually that moment in his life was a sore moment. He's like, that was a bad choice, because he's trying to qualify the devaluing of it because he sees it as devaluing.
Wanted me to play the Brad Pitt part,
Yeah.
I thought the script was too demonic.
Right.
Then I saw the movie, I was like, oh, I blew it.
No.
But it's, worked out all right.
Yeah, I mean, you got everything else.
Yeah.
We always talk about there were certain things that you would say in movies that became like your calling card. You get your fucking hands off me.
Oh, really?
Every I'm a comic, so every time we do you get your fucking hands.
That's right. Yeah.
Say it with.
So right now he's being humble. This is important, showcasing. He's like, oh, you're known for having, things you say in movies become sayings. He's like, oh, really. He's not. He knows people say you Godzilla got it. He knows whatever it is. He knows people phrase him, but he's being humble, which is point building. But he's letting Jamie Foxx have this moment.
No. I'll grab your hand and you play me.
Yeah.
Hey.
You get your fucking hands off me.
See? Now they're gaining. They got points together for that.
You was at
Denzel gave the moment to Jamie, and then Jamie gave good energy, and Denzel qualified that energy, and so they both had a moment, and therefore they both get points. No, okay.
Roxbury one day, back in the day, and you don't remember this, but I literally ran.
All right, so this is a Jimmy Fallon moment. So we'll bring it back. Basically, Jamie Foxx is about to make it about him.
You was at Roxbury one day, back in the day, and you don't remember this, but I literally ran across the street and tried to hug you.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but you did some kind of move that was like, the head.
Oh, did I give you that? Oh, yeah.
Hold on, just calm down.
Yeah, I do that. I know that's
calm
me.
down,
Then I put it right under.
Basically, for the people that are going to hear this and not see it, ultimately, Jamie Foxx is saying that he ran over to give Denzel a hug, and Denzel put his elbow up, and the elbow went right into Jamie Foxx's neck and stopped him. And Denzel's like, I don't remember meeting you. And then as soon as Jamie Foxx did the elbow, he's like, oh yeah, I knew that. So you're learning a lot about Denzel's, who he is, and like it's about personal space. Like, you want to hug me? Ask. Don't just hug me. Like, we're learning something about him. That's what I'm learning when I hear this, right? But more importantly, This is about Jamie and just how Denzel's like just adding value to it. Even though he's saying, yeah, I do that. He's saying, yeah, okay, I remember that moment. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, this is probably definitely me. So he's qualifying Jamie Foxx's story. So Jamie Foxx can feel like he's not, because the moment he says, I don't remember meeting you, that's a chance that to Jamie, Denzel just lost the point. But the moment he says, "Oh yeah, I do that," he's qualifying Jamie's story.
And he's getting a point back.
He's getting a point back.
Yeah. Right on the here. I'm trying to give you your props,
Yeah, but see, you was doing all the work. I just stopped, but you kept coming, so I just put it where it needs to be.
See, and he's still talking about Jamie.
Know that stuff. Leonardo DiCaprio told.
All right, so this is Jamie boasting. He's telling a story about him and Leonardo DiCaprio talking about Denzel Washington. This is 2 Jimmy moments.
Told me one day, he says, "You know what, Pat?"
Let me bring it back. I'll bring it back.
You kept coming, so I just put it where it needs to be.
You really know that stuff. Leonardo DiCaprio told me one day, he says, "You know what, pal? You know how I'm scared of?" I said, "Who?" "Denzel, buddy. Because he looks like he really knows that shit. Like he looks like he'll fucking tear your trachea out or some shit." Come on, D. For your stunts, though, like, I mean, when we watch Equalizer, I mean,
I do a lot.
All right, the first time we hear about the movie, Jamie Foxx brings it up, not Denzel. Very important.
If you're doing an interview, it should always be the host bringing up.
The hell with an interview if you're marketing. The moment you bring up your crap, you're pushing.
Yeah.
But Denzel's about to do something that I tell you should do and everyone else should do. So let's get to that part.
All right.
Okay.
A lot of them.
You do a lot of that.
I don't be jumping off and stuff, but
Right. Like, I mean, when we watch,
real quick, you're gonna hear it. He says that he does his own stunts, but he qualifies the stunt worker, saying, "I don't do the crazy stuff. I just do the handwork."
Equalizer. I mean,
I do a lot of them.
You do a lot of that.
I don't be jumping off and stuff, but
But your shit is, you just, like if I throw, don't even.
There you go now. There you go. You know it, obviously.
No, shit. All mine's comedic. I'm just, you seen Sleepless. Well, maybe you did.
No, I didn't.
All right, Denzel just lost the
I'm
point
sorry,
there.
is that a movie you in?
Damn! Interviews.
Jamie Foxx is really good at deflecting. You do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's deflecting with a joke to make it comfortable. He's just like, all right. Denzel doesn't know my stuff. Denzel just lost the point there. But Denzel's job is not to watch Jamie Foxx's. But the only reason he lost the point is because Jamie Foxx's ego's been hurt.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? like it doesn't matter that he didn't see it. It matters to Jamie because Jamie would think, why wouldn't you see my stuff?
Because he's amazing, awesome, and unique.
Because he's made on you.
Oh man, at least I'm honest.
At least I'm honest. See,
Here we are off script. Grey Goose I'm with.
All right, so it's gonna come up. I'm not gonna tell you what happened, but the thing I tell you to do. So where Denzel was like, with Equalizer, and Denzel's like, I do my own stunts and stuff.
He doesn't do it in a way that it's bragging. He talks about it in a way where he starts off.
No, it's all experience. So he just did it. He did it in that one little spot, but he's going to do it really well in another spot in this interview. But he's like, yeah, I do it. I do like some. I don't jump off the thing, but I do. He did like the hand things. That's his adventure. But he's also telling his trials and tribulations. I don't do the jumps. That's the fear.
So he doesn't do a Riggs.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's the lethal weapon. But anyway, in that moment, we know his adventure. He's not saying, when I was filming Equalizer, I was doing, just listen.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're going to talk about something different. Oh, by the way, Denzel just gives Jamie so many points in this next section. So just pay attention and I'll quiz you on it.
I feel like we should just have like a tally to actually keep track of like the points back and forth.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Icon, Mr. Denzel Washington.
Okay.
Now, are there any movies that you've seen that you like that you would have wanted to put your spin on it?
This is one of them.
Okay, good. This is from
this is what Joe Pesci did, which was all right. I mean, I'm funny. Funny how? Like I amuse you. I amuse you. I make you. But I think had he sung it.
Ooh. Ooh.
Look, gives it right back to Jamie Foxx.
What? I thought you were
No,
gonna sing
you got
it.
the
Hell
voice.
No, man. This
No,
is,
no, you
gotta
sing it, man. Come
well,
on.
you got to sing it with me.
Oh,
He
All
got
right.
2 points because he gave it to him, and then he said, "You sing it."
I mean funny.
Now they're both
like
getting
a
points.
clown. I amuse you.
You can't
What
see
else
it,
you
but
got?
what did Jamie
Nah.
do? Jamie upped him because Denzel did a hand motion, and then Jamie saw it. His eyes popped up, and then he did it. So for the people watching, we could see that again, and for the people listening,
I amuse
you see
you.
that? It was a micro awareness.
I mean funny like a clown. I amuse you.
And did you see Jamie went bigger? He lifted up.
Ah,
He
body
went,
language.
he went higher than Denzel. Let's take back control. All right, let's go.
What else you got? Now
What
we
else we got?
Toto. I feel we're not.
Yeah, let's go back because it froze a little bit.
Funny like a clown.
I
amuse you.
I am pretty amused.
What else you got? Now we. Toto. I feel we're not in Kansas anymore. I was watching that the other night, though, man.
What's it
That
about?
child could sing.
She good.
Judy Garland.
Denzel's adventure.
So how would you say
We're learning who he is.
Cardi B?
This is
Easy. Bodak yellow.
Yellow.
Oh, you think I don't know?
Ah, you like Cardi B?
What's she say? I give him whatever he want. He buy me Yves Saint Laurent and a new
Denzel just
whip.
got points.
Think I don't know? Huh?
How she say it though?
I give him whatever he want. He buy me a new Yves Saint Laurent and a new whip. I like Cardi B.
He's
You
got
know what I'm
another
saying? I like her.
He likes
I
Cardi B.
love her.
Jamie
You
Foxx
love
likes
her,
Cardi
right?
B. You got a point.
Oh shit, this is crazy.
Oh,
Oh, this is easy.
getting into it now.
Sean, you got to do Sean Connery though. The Sean Connery James Bond.
So he could either do Sean Connery or he could do what he's about to do, which is tell adventure. This is emotional adventure and perspective. This is what he's about to say is what you would write in a post for marketing or tell
Wait. What should properly be done, or what I would do that you correct me with?
what you're supposed to properly done.
Okay, so
Would
not a
be
JD
do.
post.
Yeah, not a JD. JD posts are terrible.
Post this is.
Some of your posts are good, but then you follow up with like something bad, so it actually you lose the point. If you got to think of marketing as tack. Every good marketing gets you a point. Every bad marketing loses you a point. Every push you
It's
lose
definitely
a point. If you show your guitar and do like a boomerang, you just got a point taken off. If you say, "Oh, I hope my hands don't," blah blah blah. No, it's not that you get a point, but you're not losing a point. But it's a confusing marketing campaign. Why?
because there's no consistency.
No consistency. Yeah.
There's no message.
There is. Yeah, you're not creating a brand. Your brand isn't established. You have to establish your brand, and how do you do that? Through consistency. Anyway, so pay attention to this. So this is what you would write on a post if you were talking about your Oscar. Like, let's say you went to the Oscars. This is what you would write.
Sean Connery. Let me tell you a Sean Connery story.
Uh-oh.
He was up for the
You
Untouchables.
literally started with that. Let me tell you a Sean Connery story. You would literally start it with that because it's in the voice of
Him.
right?
I was up that year
go back.
for Sean Connery. Let me tell you a Sean Connery story.
Uh-oh.
He was up for the Untouchables. I was up that year for, I think it was Cry of Freedom. And he comes out to present an award and got a 3-minute standing ovation for presenting an award.
Wow.
I went to get the coats. I was gonna get the coats because I know I ain't winning tonight. So now we're leaving. I'm leaving without the Oscar, right? But as I'm leaving, I see the back of where they're doing they're getting the meal ready, the food ready for the governor's ball.
Yeah.
I see a big tray. I'm like, I'm leaving here with something. You know what I mean? I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
Right.
Then my mother told me to get the flower arrangement. It's a true story.
Everything about that was emotional adventure.
That's really funny.
Everything. If he wrote that verbatim on social media, it would have been a hit. People could have related with that 1,000 times. You know what I'm saying? They could relate with, yeah. Why? I'm not saying I lost. He's the GOAT just got a 3-minute standing ovation for presenting an award. I ain't going home with the Oscar. And then going out, you go, you know what? I ain't leaving. I'm taking something, you know, like people. And then when he said he added that mother part, that means he took his mothers to the Oscars.
Which is a lot about him as a person. People can relate to that.
That's right. You know, oh, my mom was important, this, that, you know. And then the mom is saying, get the centerpiece. Like, what's the first thing they say when you're at a wedding and your mom
Take the centerpiece.
See?
Why is that a thing?
Crazy. I don't know. All right, let's keep listening.
Even with something. Then my mother told me to get the flower arrangement. It's a true story.
Talk about your kids now, man. You have
Right. No, we're talking about kids.
how many kids?
4.
4 kids.
2 in front of the camera, 2 behind.
You know, do you give
Learning
any
about
tips?
Denzel.
Does it feel?
Well, you know, I try to tell them the truth. The movie business, I tell my 2 children that are actors, especially in movies, you want people to go, wait, I can't wait to see him.
Right.
You know, not, oh, I see him everywhere.
Oh, so we talk about this. Do you think that some of the actors and actresses that are, you know, constantly saying, come see me, do you think that's a mistake?
All right. Technically, Jamie did not listen to what Denzel said, because what Denzel said deserved, what do you tell your children? Not, let me ask you a question about marketing. So he took the context of what Denzel was ultimately saying emotionally and to show his adventure.
And he changed
He changed it to a direct question, which is an at. So before it was with, now it's an at, and you lose a point for that. But Denzel's going to answer because he's a compassionate person, right? But
he's a tactician.
He is a tactician. But if he had maintained the interest of the children, Jamie would be getting the points. And Denzel wouldn't be getting any points or anything, or losing any points, but Jamie would have been getting the points because he would have been showing interest. But now it's not about Denzel's kids. It's just, hey, can you give us advice? So let me bring that back a little bit.
Oh, so we talk about this. Do you think that some of the actors and actresses that are, you know, constantly saying, come see me, do you think that's a mistake?
I think if you drink too much water, you'll drown. So
wow, dropping jewels.
Yeah, you want to keep some mystery, you know.
So that's it. What he's saying there is vague but informative. I talk about that in marketing. Vague but informative. So this is what I do. I hear people, I listen to it, and I simplify it. He said it. Many people said it. He's also going to talk about Daniel Day-Lewis. He's going to introduce the artist brain in a little bit. But minus that, he's ultimately saying vague but informative. You want people to know that you're doing stuff. People want to see you succeed. They don't want to hear about it. So if they're watching you fail and succeed, like your trials and tribulations, they're going to hone in and be interested in you.
Because that's how they're relating to you as a person. That's why they would be interested in what you're doing.
Well, how they're relating to you as a brand. You as a person have a brand. So no one relates to people. They relate to your brand. And what is your brand? Your message, your mission in life, your ideals, your purpose. People can't relate to somebody who's a scumbag. They're not really, it's not about the person in that situation. It's their mission, their ideals, their morals. And that's their brand. So you can hone your brand as a celebrity or a business. You could say, this is what I want to represent, and focus through action. Or you could have your personal brand out there, which is whatever you stand for. Just become your truth. If you believe in helping people, help people, right? You can't, I help people. No, I believe in helping people. Who have you helped in the last 3 months? What? You know, but anyway, so right here, he's basically saying, don't oversaturate your audience. But what he's really talking about is when I talk about pushing. If you're a band or an actor or a writer, so a band might say, hey, check out my song. An actor might say, here's my movie or my reel. That's pushing. And if you over push, you're going to oversaturate, and no one can empathize with your adventure. They get pushed away because you're pushing an agenda and you're pushing them away. So what he's talking about ultimately is vague but informative. I'm going to rewind it a little bit so we can kind of like get it in there. All right.
Oh, so we talk about this. Do you think that some of the actors and actresses that are, you know, constantly saying, come see me, do you think that's a mistake?
I think if you drink too much water, you'll drown. So
wow, dropping jewels.
Yeah, you want to keep some mystery, you know, keep things quiet so that you build up to that next movie. Where is he? I mean, when's the last time you saw Daniel Day-Lewis? Listen, branding for an actor is being good, not being known.
All right, I'm going to stop there because I don't agree with that.
That's literally that's the opposite.
Yeah, artists be so good they can't ignore you is not true. However, you could say to yourself, "You're only good as the last show you in," but that's also not true because if the average of your work is appreciated, they're gonna trust that the next thing you were. But Nicolas Cage, everyone loves Nicolas Cage, and he's in terrible movies.
He's definitely in some terrible movies.
But he's done a couple of good movies. But what it is they're attached to his
The Rock.
brand. People consider look this up on the internet. There's a study. They consider Nick Cage the next Marlon Brando. So what Marlon Brando did to cinema when he came out, Nicolas Cage did to cinema when he came out. It changed the way we approach acting.
I'm confused.
Well, yeah, I would expect that. When Marlon Brando came out, the way he performed was different than the way everybody else thought you were supposed to perform on stage or on screen. There was a way, if you watch a movie before Marlon Brando, or even during his time in the black and whites, you will notice a very stagnant performance. They go to their mark, they talk. Hey, so I see that you came.
It's very robotic.
Yeah, they're just getting their words out. They're hitting their blocks. Marlon came in and was like kind of loose with it, and he was representing an emotional true line, a through line.
You're saying he's one of the first people to really like just completely let the emotion be as true as possible.
He was showing the craft of acting through living. He was being in that moment, whereas actors are usually just saying their lines. Even though there's some really great actors back in the day in the black and whites, not to devalue them, but what I'm saying is, it was formulaic. Marlon Brando was changing that. So if you look at Nicolas Cage when he came in and the movies he did, he's ultimately doing something completely different than what we as actors do now. Just like Marlon Brando. So whereas actors are doing like Meisner and all, this Stanislavski and they have this performance. But Nicolas Cage, what do we always talk about? Oh, he's crazy. He just goes. He just does whatever he wants. He's the new Marlon Brando. And the study breaks down how he is, not that he's as good as Marlon Brando, but that he's doing to cinema what Marlon Brando did to cinema. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, he's breaking the rules to try
something new.
Yeah. However, we connect to that brand. And that's why we follow Nicolas Cage. We're not following Nicolas Cage because he's good. Even though he won an Oscar, and some people think he's amazing, and other people don't think he's amazing, when we see a Nicolas Cage movie, we don't go, we got to see that, because a lot of his movies flop.
Listen, everyone loves Ghost Rider.
All right, today's JD's last episode. But my point is, no one's watching him because he's good. If they choose to watch him, there's something about what he's doing that they're like, I'm interested. So people follow brand value, but it's when Denzel is saying actor's brand is just be good, that's not necessarily true. Everything we're hearing Denzel say throughout this interview is what we're connecting to. And that's how we can say, I like Denzel. Oh, he's a good guy. Even though a lot of times, and this is something you could look up too, there's research on this, we fall in love with the idea of who someone is as an actor through their character. So we see Matthew Perry, right, who played Chandler Bing. Matthew Perry?
Yeah.
We see Matthew Perry as Chandler Bing. So if he doesn't play Chandler Bing in other movies, or at least have that kind of energy, we think it's a bad performance. Because to us, we think that's really his personality. Because subconsciously, we grew up with him over the course of 10 seasons. It's the same thing with any actor. That's why Brad Pitt was so smart in his career in the beginning.
By doing like the different roles.
Yeah, he decided instead of being the attractive man,
the eye candy,
he was like, let me do, River Runs Through It. Let me do Legend of the Fall. He started doing some crazy movies. And that's how he developed his brand. And people were attaching to his wildness. It was something about him. He wasn't just the eye candy. It was something raw about him. But he's just playing characters. You understand what I'm saying? So what he's saying right now is just be good. It's not necessarily true. We connect to a brand of response to our empathy for that character. All right, I'm gonna rewind it as we get it. Oh, by the way, he's getting points with Jamie because they're saying literally the same thing they believe. He's saying you just got to be a good actor, and Jamie believes which he said in other interviews, that older me, you just got to be good. You know, he talks about his grandma gave him the tools to be a good piano player. He got Ray, told him you got to be good at this. He got that. You know, like he equates to a success to just having the skill.
And he's missing the whole, relationships. Like,
yeah.
Next movie, where is he? I mean,
The person.
Well, relationships and branding. He's missing relationships and branding. Okay, here we go.
he should end in a hurricane.
What was different? Denzel Washington. Listen,
Where is he? I mean, when's the last time you saw Daniel Day-Lewis? Listen, branding for an actor is being good, not being known. Your brand is, whatever you did, was it any good? Not how many likes you got.
Grey Goose off script. Jamie Foxx.
I do agree with that last comment. It's not about how many likes you get. It's why you're getting those likes. There's a big difference. The motivation of why people hit the likes versus why they comment versus why they share, why they like, comment, share, why they like, comment, share with comment. All those things represent a different degree of interest and them buying into your brand. So if they just like you and they just want you to know that they notice you, they'll like it or they'll love it or whatever,
they'll react.
They'll react to it. If they feel emotionally compelled or empathy for the subject matter, either positively or negatively, they'll comment. But if they really connect with it, they'll share it. But if they really connect with it and love you as a person or appreciate you as a brand, they'll share it with comment, But anyway, let's keep going.
And the
Likes you got.
Grey Goose off script. Jamie Foxx and the Denzel Washington. Listen, Equalizer has a certain pulse to it. Did you?
I gotta pause it for a second. Who brought up the movie?
Jamie Foxx, the interviewer.
The interviewer. Denzel Washington has not brought up his movies or the movie he's promoting yet. Then, because that would be bad. He would lose points for that.
I'm assuming that this interview came out when one of the Equalizer movies.
The second Equalizer movies. That's what this is a press tour for Equalizer 2.
Gotcha.
Fox and the Denzel Washington. Listen, Equalizer has a certain pulse to it. Did you capture that in the Equalizer 2?
And then some.
Really?
They say it's better than the first. Everybody that's seen it said it's better than the first.
It's crazy, and the first one was crazy.
See, he's not saying. All right, so
this
this is PR. We're in 101.
He's talking about other people. He's not saying hands down definitively. He's talking about what other people are saying about the movie.
And he's also not saying I think it's great.
That too.
Or he's not saying it is great. He's saying
it's gonna blow your mind.
They say.
Some.
Really?
They say it's better than the first. Everybody that's seen it said it's.
And also the other post I was saying that the adventure post that he's about to say it. He's about to talk about that.
Better than the first.
It's crazy, and the first one was crazy.
Yeah.
What was different or the same? You want to add a new wrinkle to it, or what did Antoine have in store?
That's a good question. Oh, he decided the movie should end in a hurricane.
Really?
So now we have a hurricane.
What?
This is adventure.
And it's crazy.
And so what was the toughest day on that set?
The day the hurricane came. No, because they have these big waves splashing and trying to be sexy and slick and smooth and
right.
It wasn't working.
Great. Denzel Washington, take a look at this. You want to set?
All right. So Jamie Foxx just did he just lost the point. Terrible interview. Denzel just was riding high on the adventure, gave a lot of emotion, was really getting into it, and Jamie did not ask anything about the hurricane, the experience with the hurricane, even though Denzel was like, that was the hottest day. They got things blowing in your face.
It was hard to be sexy during a hurricane.
Yeah, hard to be sexy during it, which is funny. Things are blowing in your face, and the next thing is
giggity.
Jamie wants to just talk. So Jamie just lost points.
Trying to be sexy and slick and smooth and
Right.
wasn't working.
Great. Denzel Washington, take a look at this. You want to set the clip up?
No, go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, Denzel.
All right, so there's another great thing. So now I know why Jamie Foxx didn't ask a follow-up question. He probably got the sign to wrap it up because this is the end of the clip. He basically he says, do you want to see them? Anyway, Jamie did a great thing as a host right here. He basically said, do you want to set it up? And then Denzel did PR 101.
No.
You got it. You can do it. Because if he says it, now it becomes pushing.
Whereas if Jamie does it,
It's third-party introduction or third-party marketing.
just so we have some clarity.
Oh my
here.
God.
What is let's say with this situation like this, where like you have Jamie being the host,
Yeah. Go ahead.
he's allowed to do the quote unquote the push. What is the value of that? Because it's not his product, because it's somebody else's. So what's the difference between him pushing Denzel's movie, say he were to push his own movie? Why is that? Why is that more of a point builder?
Why is Jamie
Allowed to push somebody else's movie, but not his own?
okay? Well, in that situation, the points is that Jamie is qualifying the product for Denzel. So he gets a point from Denzel. So their relationship gets a point, right? When I say point, minus point, plus point, it's for the relationship. So if I say Jamie just got a minus point, it's really he minus point from the relationship.
Would he not be? But wouldn't they be building points with the audience, both of them?
Well, we're not. I'm not saying that yet. I'm talking about two different things right now. I'm going to answer your question, but I need to explain that when I say like Jamie lost the point, the relationship lost the point.
Gotcha.
Because of Jamie. If I say Jamie just got a point, the relationship gained a point because of Jamie, and vice versa. As far as the audience goes, the reason is because whatever our point relationship is with Jamie Foxx, we're going to get half the value of that recommendation.
Gotcha.
So if I idolize Jamie Foxx, half of that means that I'm going to trust his opinion. It's still so high. It's still trustworthy. So if Jamie says I should check out this trailer, let me watch it. Then you're going to watch the trailer with half the value of that. And you're going to like the trailer automatically because Jamie recommended it. But will you go see it is on it depends on your preference, which is marketed to you. Do I like action films or do I not like action films? But it's the same thing with best friends or friends. Hey man, check out this band. And you'd be like, well, if I told you to check out not now. I don't check out anything JD tells me to.
I've lost all the points.
All the points when it comes to recommending anything.
Although it is really funny where if I recommend something and you're like, damn it, because you wanted to watch it.
Yeah, and now I know it's gonna suck, but it's only because you've consistently, on the average, recommended more crap than good. So that means I can't trust your judgment on good. You might like it, but that doesn't mean it's good.
Or that you will like it.
Well, no, I like good things. If it follows a certain order of creation, I'm going to like it. It's just if it's good, I'm going to like it. It's not an opinion. Like we were talking about music, and I was like, music, you could like music or hate music, but it doesn't negate if it's good. There's a good way to write music. It's just, do you like that style? That's a whole other conversation. Is it good or bad is different than I like it or I don't like it. It's like saying, imagine you saw a kit car, not the Michael Knight car, but a kit car. Like a kit car is basically you take a Beetle or a body, and then you frame the skeleton, and then you put like fiberglass over it, and the fiberglass might look like a Corvette. Or it might be like a BMW.
Or if you get like the Trans Am conversion for like
that's
a car
that's not a kit car.
Yeah, no. Like they have.
Well, Trans Ams and Firebirds can mix max, but that's not a kit car.
Well, the kit car is you turn the car into something else.
What do you mean?
Or you do like adjustments.
No. A kit car, you buy the kit. And
like if you
it comes, the body is already done. It's fiberglass, and it goes over a buggy skeleton.
It's not just a buggy. It's for multiple cars. Like you can get like a kit car and turn it like a car into like the Knight Rider car. That's what a kit car is. It's like a custom car.
All right, fine. We'll go with JD. All right, go ahead. Tell me what kit cars are.
I just did.
All right, what was I getting at?
I don't know.
All right. Anyway, so like, let's say you wanted a as he says, a Firebird, right? You want a Firebird, and you buy the kit. You're not actually you don't own a Firebird, and it doesn't have the same engine, it doesn't have the same body, or it doesn't have the same skeleton, and also the body itself is not metal; it's fiberglass. It's a crap representation of it, right? I forgot what I was going to say because you distracted me with a irrational answer.
You're welcome.
What was I talking about now? You messed me up.
Yeah, I totally lost it. I don't know.
I wish you were a listener because then you would remember what I was saying. You're a speaker. You're a speaker, not a listener. Let's see. What was your question? The third party introduction.
You pretty much you answered it.
Why-
My question originally was why is it Jamie is allowed to do the quote unquote push
Yeah.
for Denzel's movie, but he's not allowed to do a push for one of his movies?
Well, yeah, but I was talking about the value of the. It doesn't matter. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah. So the value of what he wants is why people would even listen. But if Denzel says it, we can't trust Denzel with his own product.
Because he's not unbiased.
He's not.
He is biased.
He's completely biased. Yeah. If he's like, no, this is the real deal. This is the best movie ever. You're gonna be like, yeah, okay. Now when you go see it, like it better be the best movie in the world, or you lost a fan.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? But like when you post, you're a pusher. You push even when you don't think you're pushing, right? So now either you're a liar or you're telling the truth. And the lie is that it's not what they expected it to be based on what you said, versus how do I get an opinion of who you are? That's why adventure is important, because you can't say yes or no to a personality. You could only slightly agree, completely agree, slightly disagree, completely disagree, but you're not saying yes or no.
Or you can go, I say good day.
No, that's a no. Good day is I want nothing. You're done. I have no interest in it. So when you look at adventure, everybody is following some sort of path to connect to that particular brand or adventure. But if I go, here's my song, I'm either going to like it or not like it. There's no and I'm going to kind of like it or no. If I've never heard it before, I'm either going to like it or not like it. If I heard one of your songs beforehand and the new song sounds nothing like that old song, I am most likely either going to not like it or like it. But if I never heard the first song, I'm back into the same position. I'm either going to like it or dislike it. Can there be a variation? Yes. How do you do that? Through adventure. If I have grown to have a relationship with the brand, now when I listen to your music, I kind of like this or I really like this.
But the point is that you can relate to it instead of just
you're relating to the brand, and since I have a relationship, I'm going to give whatever I listen to at least a listen. And that's why people who like Metallica, when new albums come out, they're like, I hate this or I don't like this. And then some people are like, you know what? It kind of grew on me. And that's because they have the relationship with Metallica, not because it was good or bad.
And then you have the people who are just like, at least it's not Lulu or Saint Anger.
Yeah. It's like when you're like, listen to my song. And I'm like, I've heard it a million times. Like, what? It's good. Do you like it? And you're like, yeah. All right. It's the greatest song since sliced bread. But you know, like it, but that's the other thing. Like artist brain is always like, I hope somebody likes this. But who cares? Who cares if someone likes it? Why does it matter? Did they buy it? They like it. Well, they returned it. Well, then they didn't like it.
Fair enough.
There you go. Now you know. But you don't need people to be like, oh, God.
This is the best song I've ever heard in my entire life.
JD knows when people ask me, do you like this? I go, it was awesome.
You do it to me all the time.
Or I say this, I go, do you like it? And they go, yeah. And I go, that's why it's amazing.
Done.
It's awesome. All right, let's do one more and then we're done for the day.
Ooh.
This one's good. Who's
this?
This is Denzel.
Together for the first time.
Let's
with Mark Wahlberg.
swing for the fences. Let's offer it to Denzel.
I'm also doing this because this guy died.
Wait, Marky Mark?
No, the host.
And I thought this was the perfect opportunity with the perfect actor. Opening up about fame, family, and fortune.
That was a garbage man.
You didn't know he
I went
died?
to the back of the truck. 22 square
Larry
blocks.
King is dead, man.
That's hard.
He just died,
Nothing
like,
that we do in the movies
That's
that's
what I was
hard.
And the Two Guns director dishes on making the film.
Mark was very clever in the way he
All right, so believe it or not, this is actually genius marketing that they used to do in radio. Now, Larry King is obviously a legend. He's a terrible interviewer, but
He's a legend.
He's a legend. What he's doing right now is this is called interest peaking. All right, so they're bringing up moments in the conversation I think Jamie Foxx did this too, right? In the beginning of Jamie Foxx's, they were laughing about something, but they're letting a question happen or an answer happen, and then like you're basically like, oh, I want to know more about that. So they're being vague but informative. So
And the Two Guns director dishes on making the film.
Mark was very clever in the way he approached this. First of all, he was very humble towards Denzel. And then he started getting at him.
It's all ahead on Larry King.
See, they cut him. See how they did that? We're gonna hear, what the experience for the Two Guns director was working on the film, and then he's saying Mark Wahlberg and Denzel, they were very interesting to work with. Cuts.
Cut.
Oh, why were they interesting to work with?
I need to know.
Larry King.
Let me jam.
Talk Larry King now.
I've said many things about this film, Two Guns, but I will say it again. This is one of the most fun times you will ever have in a movie theater. The movie is hysterically funny and action-packed.
All right, he's giving a review on the movie based on his opinion, right?
And Larry King has built up a brand where people he can literally do this because people are like, whatever, Larry King.
Yeah, but more importantly, he didn't say it is. He said, "Watch, I'll do it again." It's his perspective, which, by the way, gives him points when he.
I've said many things about this film.
I said many things about this film, so we know it's not it's not an absolute. He's not saying this movie is the funny movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying this is his perspective. He finds the movie funny.
That's what you're saying.
You know,
he's not giving a definitive answer. He's just he's setting up, like you said.
Yeah.
This is only his perspective, his feelings, his viewpoints, but not.
So
saying
if you
this is
trust
a
in
fact.
him,
Also, I love the fact that he's his visual brand is always the same, but like this, like he's wearing suspenders and rolled up sleeves, but his suspenders look more expensive than the pants I'm wearing.
then why do you like that?
Because it's consistency, and it helps identify, the brand of Larry King.
So you like that he's consistently wearing that, and not necessarily the fact that he wears it.
Correct.
So you don't care if he wears suspenders or not. If he wore a hat every single time, you'd be like, I like the hat.
I mean, I kind of want to have him wear a hat now, but yes, that's pretty much what it is. There's that consistency for helping to identify the Larry King brand.
JD just lost another conversation with me because he refused to do a reversal, and it started with an I statement. All right, let's keep going.
Luckily, I built up all these points already. JD, by the way, here's your bill.
This is JD's last episode. All right, here it goes. There it goes.
But I will say it again. This is one of the most fun times you will ever have in a movie theater. The movie is hysterically funny and action-packed, and
It's
its
still based
stars
on
are
his opinion.
Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg. And how did they get the two of you together?
Sheer luck. I had been attached for a while, and I knew the movie really lived and died on the...
Mark Wahlberg just lost points. Denzel was about to speak. Denzel would have lost points, except Denzel actually gained a point.
By listening?
I'll show you. It's a very, very, very small moment.
And its stars are Denzel Washington.
All right, JD, watch what happens. I'm going to tell the audience who's going to be listening to this on radio. Denzel actually looks to Mark Wahlberg first as a team player to see who wants to speak first. Mark Wahlberg just starts speaking first. Watch.
And Mark Wahlberg. And how did they get the two of you together?
Sheer luck. I had been attached for a while.
Denzel's like, could be like one of those.
But Denzel has an amazing ability for empathy. He was allowed. This is what, remember before we started the show? This is what I talk about. What Mark just did to Denzel aggravates me because it's not about them. It's about Mark Wahlberg's perspective. He thinks he's the most important aspect of this moment. Denzel selflessly gave Mark a chance to give value to the decision. And this is why also relationships fail. Platonic, intimate, whatever the case may be. People feel like they're not a part of the equation. So when a man or a woman says, it's not that you bought the flowers, it's that you didn't let me choose. You didn't even ask my opinion on the flowers. You were just like, these flowers is what we're going to have for the house. Or, you come home and the house is painted blue or and it's like, oh, I like Blue, but you're still wasn't a part of the equation. So that's why technically Mark Wahlberg just lost this relationship a point. But if Mark Wahlberg was a decent human being in this situation, I'm just making jokes. He's not a decent human. No, I'm just kidding. If he had looked at Denzel, the relationship would have got a point because he would have recognized Denzel's empathy and saw the value in that, and most likely gave it a second. And I bet you in this moment, Denzel still would have let him speak first.
I mean, it seems like he's that kind of guy where he would have been like, oh,
yeah, he's a good guy.
You go, Marky Mark.
In fact, his mouth opened slightly, and he probably was going to go, do you want, but anyway, let's keep going.
And I knew the movie really lived and died on the other guy.
All right, we're gonna go back. Just listen to how I statement-y this is. Just Mark Wahlberg.
I knew. Just fun times you will ever have in a movie theater. The movie is hysterically funny and action-packed, and its stars are Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg. And how did they get the two of you together?
Sheer luck. I had been attached for a while, and I knew the movie really lived and died on the other guy and the chemistry between the two guys.
So you were in?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I noticed on this viewing, Denzel also pointed to Mark Wahlberg.
That's funny.
When Mark Wahlberg started talking, he just went, "Oh, God." Anyway, so this is why I believe Mark Wahlberg is talking without the value of teamwork, is because he was cast first. So he said, I was already in.
So you're saying that he has the perspective of, this is my movie.
This is my movie.
The other guy is just the
correct.
Other guy.
And he says, he also says, I knew this movie would only work if there was the right chemistry.
Which is really funny because I feel like it's like Robin going, this.
I mean, well, in this situation, they're both superstars, but Denzel definitely is the larger draw,
Yeah, no, it's definitely Robin going, oh, we needed the right chemistry for Batman.
I got this, Batman. So anyway, I'm the third Robin. All right, let's go.
Sheer luck. I had been attached for a while, and I knew the movie really lived and died on the other guy and the chemistry between the two guys.
So you were in?
Yeah. And, there was variations of the script, and we just said, let's swing for the fences. Let's offer it to Denzel, see if,
Thank you.
If a miracle happens. And we got him in the movie. He responded to the material.
They had that. What, did you read the script?
I read it. I laughed. I gave it to my barber.
All right. So Larry King is doing a very good job in this interview.
Because he's bringing Denzel into the conversation.
Besides that, which is something you have to recognize you lack, is empathy when you listen. Mark Wahlberg said that's why we were swaying for the fences. We knew Denzel. Let's ask Denzel. He recognized and felt the material. And instead of Larry King asking Mark a question on that, he's letting Denzel answer a question based on the direction of the conversation.
He saw the setup and went, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Jerry, the fences.
That's what makes Larry King a good interview. I make jokes when I say he's a terrible interview, but he sometimes he doesn't hear his audience, like he doesn't hear his guest. He sometimes like I watch him a lot because I like the way he interviews, but watching him so much, I see his inconsistencies. But anyway, in this, he's doing good, very well.
So you would say he's only human?
No, he's been dead for what? He's the crypt keeper.
Oh my God, that totally is him right there, but with suspenders.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Offer it to Denzel, see if
Thank you.
If a miracle happens, and we got him in the movie. He responded to the material.
They had that. What, did you read the script?
I read it. I laughed. I gave it to my barber, Jerry. He was here. He laughed. I was like, okay.
You have a barber?
Well, he's
All right. Again, empathy. Larry King heard Barbara.
He's bald.
He's bald, which is funny, but he's like. However, what did Denzel just do in the interview?
He talked about the experience and talked about somebody else.
He talked about which is called inclusiveness.
That one.
He's very inclusive, even though the guy's off camera, and he knows he's bald. Right, Denzel's bald in this video clip. If you're listening to this on the radio, he's bringing people in. It's a very empathetic and compassionate If you notice, when we go out, I do that.
Yes, you do.
I bring people, like if we're in a group of people, I make people laugh and I start talking and I let them kind of be a
And
part
then you
of it.
also you don't just stick to a conversation with just one person.
Yeah.
So like you try to do your best to make sure that you're talking to everybody.
Yeah, because that's just empathy and compassion. All right, let's keep going.
Because my hair, I still call it a barber. He's not my barber, but he worked, we worked together over the years. But
Real quick, Larry King lost the point there, by the way.
By calling out the bald thing.
Yeah. That's why Denzel was in that was a flight or flight moment. And so he's basically responding to qualify why he
has a barber.
Yeah, he still has to cut my hair. Like he shouldn't have had to do that, but because Larry King lost the point and devalued him, he had to justify and qualify his reasoning.
Gotcha.
You do that too. You qualify, which I call making excuses. You don't.
So you're saying that Denzel in that instance didn't necessarily have to qualify
At all.
Like,
why does he have to qualify himself?
Who cares?
Yeah. Oh, you need a barber? Yes. Okay. Yeah. But he's been my friend since forever. That's qualifying again. But if he just says yes, I do.
The end.
The end. Anyway.
But, I was coming off of, or I may have been shooting.
Do you hear? I'm going to rewind it. Do you hear how his energy dropped after that?
Yeah, it went down because he's like, that was why do I want to be here after that?
Yeah, he made fun of him. Yeah, let's do it again.
You're
going to hear Denzel's energy go from woo to
if a miracle happens, and we got him in
after the call out. This is why I say
they hit me. What did you read the script?
I read it. I laughed. I gave it to my barber, Cherry. He was here. He laughed. And I was like, okay.
You have a barber?
Well, he cuts my hair. I still call it a barber. He's not my barber, but he worked, we worked together over the years.
Even physically, he's deflating.
I was coming off of, or I may have been
shooting while he talks right now.
Flight, which was thank you, which was obviously a heavier kind of thing, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to have some fun,
By the way, if you notice, Denzel's really good at saying thank you. He's very conscious of it. Even in the flow of his conversation, Larry King complimented a movie he did, Flight, which was a very good movie. Right? And he said thank you and kept going. But that's empathy. That's showing respect. Like, oh, thank you. He did that with Conan O'Brien too. But
you mean Jimmy? Because he did that.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon. I mean Jimmy Fallon. Yeah. Take let's keep going.
To do something different, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity with the perfect actor to take that ride with.
So it worked right away.
All right. So Denzel's showcasing a lot of anxiety traits. So he's putting his hand on his face. He's stuttering. His energy's down, and this is all because Larry King lost the point. He devalued. So look, Denzel is a very confident person, but again, he probably has more points with his respect to Larry King, and that's somebody of value. It happens to people. Imagine you met your hero, and your hero just was like, "You're the worst guitarist ever."
Oh man,
you'd be like, "I need to practice," or
my anxiety would kick off so terribly.
It shouldn't, but it will. Right, but you have to train yourself not to, because like that's why he qualified himself, because he's like, oh, somebody that I respect in the industry just knocked me down, and you could see he's not really smiling when he's talking now. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, by the way, that's why I say Larry King is like, this is the inconsistency.
He'll like do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've known each other before the shooting, obviously, and. It was easy. It wasn't any.
No, it's one of those things where it either works or it doesn't. I don't care if you.
Denzel actually did what's known as crap. What's it called? A relay race, right? When you're doing the relay race, you hand off the baton.
Yeah, that's what he did to Mark Wahlberg.
He gave him a visual cue by looking at him.
He definitely looks and sounds like he's really uncomfortable now, and the fact that he's pausing in the other two interviews that we watched. At no point was he like paused. He was always like,
but also Larry King is asking what's known as direct questions. Why do you use that microphone? Right? Instead of, how do you feel with that microphone?
So he's not giving them room to really get into depth. It's just
or to tell adventure.
Gotcha.
He's making him. He's talking at him. So what made you like the, so you like the script, and then he made fun of him, and now
And now Denzel's like, oh.
But Denzel just he did the visual cue. I'm going to bring it back a little. He did a visual cue to Mark Wahlberg to take over the conversation, and Mark Wahlberg, who's listening to respond, took the cue, and watch how he goes into it.
Different, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity with the perfect actor to take that ride with.
So it worked right away.
Yeah, well,
Did it work right away?
we've known each other before the shooting, obviously, and it was easy. It wasn't any.
No, it's one of those things where it either works or it doesn't. I don't care if you've known each other for 30 years. It can still kind of come across awkward and weird on film. But, just complete professionals. I've been able to ask Denzel for a lot of advice, both personally and
He did the eye.
But he's talking about how he has the value to ask. He's boasting. I got the, I've known Denzel for, I could ask him whatever.
Kids and married church-going guy, and he's had a wonderful career that I've admired for a long time, and it just kind of clicked, and once he realized that we were in good hands and we could try whatever.
There's no adventure really going on here. This is just them. This conversation is off the rails right now.
This is bullet points.
Yeah, let's just talk about it. Let's hype each other up. But Wahlberg is hyping Denzel up based on Wahlberg knowing Denzel.
So he's doing it. He's doing it from his perspective.
Yeah. Instead, Denzel was being inclusive until he got knocked for it, and then he went back down. So Denzel's actually being trained in this. So I'm going to assume Larry King actually, in real life, I know I'm a nobody, but in real life, he's had many marriages. But the way he just did that to Larry King, to Denzel Washington, I'm assuming he's very critical. But I'm assuming he's an abusive relationship person.
And then he's the abuser?
He's the abuser. He's had many marriages over the course of his life. But the way he deflated Denzel like that, like Denzel is confident. So to see that, again, this is just, I'm a nobody. I study people, but what does that mean? It doesn't mean you don't know me from a fucking hole in the wall. But I'm just basing this on observation of like what I know. I could be 100% wrong.
Well, you're a lot more entertaining and a lot more compassionate than a hole in the wall.
Well, that's not true.
You also have, I was about to say you have more hair than a hole in the wall, but sometimes if there's an animal in the house, there might be hair in the hole.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. By the way, jokes have the jokes themselves in a conversation do not get pluses or minuses, unless, of course, the joke is related to the context and not necessarily just to be a joke. However, you can lose a point with a joke if it is zero context.
All right. So it looks like I'll have a very, very steep bill at the end of this conversation.
Yeah. Well, the reason you make jokes because of your training of anxiety. That's how you deal with anxiety.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Which you could retrain yourself, but you got to know what you're training. Anyway, let's keep watching Denzel get up and punch him in the face.
We wanted and risk looking ridiculous and we'd still be safe. And then he was just like, he just completely opened up to the idea of
Now, you'd worked with the director before.
Yes.
You had not.
Also, just to bear in mind that Mark Wahlberg's energy is a little different too, because him and Denzel have a relationship and they have points. It's like if you and I were like angry at each other, but someone came in and made fun of either one of us, we'd stand up for each other.
Yeah.
That's what's happening right now. So Larry King's insult or knock also influenced Mark Wahlberg's energy.
No.
And I interviewed him, and he said he was a little intimidated at first.
A little.
By you.
He would keep coming up to me, could you ask Denzel to do this? I'm like, you go ask him to do
Did he really?
All the time, yeah. I said, dude, I'm not your go-between. I said, you gotta
He said he wasn't a little intimidated. Do you sense that, by the way, because you're such a major movie star?
But I don't think that way. I'm not walking around, I'm a major movie star.
He's as regular a guy as you can get.
But the director doesn't know that.
Well, tell him.
Tell him.
I purposely didn't tell him because he likes to try, because we're very familiar with one another. We work together. So he tries to give me crap all the time. So that's why I wouldn't tell him that he's a regular guy. Make him figure it out for himself. And he's walked on eggshells for a little while, but he's so easy. Even if it was something that he didn't think would work, he'd say, Denzel, you mind trying this? He'd be like, nah, I don't think that will work. As soon as the camera rolls, he tries it anyway. He tries
Well,
it
it's
anyway.
only film.
Well.
If it doesn't work, cut it out.
I think it's going to be a big hit. It really is. I think
This is a horrible interview right now, but let's just go over a couple of things. So Denzel, his behavior based on what Mark Wahlberg just said is inclusive. So he's like, I don't know if that's going to work, but out of respect to the director, he still tried it. And then he qualified his action by saying, yeah, it's only film, you try it if it doesn't work, right? So he's qualifying his choices, which he doesn't have to do, which
he was not doing in the other two interviews.
Which he definitely was not. He qualified the other people. He qualified the interviewees. He qualified the uncle. He qualified,
But he wasn't qualifying himself.
Yeah, he wasn't qualifying his choices. But the reason he did that is because Mark Wahlberg said the director walked on eggshells a little bit in the beginning, but then he was like, so Denzel's getting beat up in this interview. But it's not his fault. He's just around two ego maniacs. These are two selfish people. Not that they aren't selfish people, but they are being selfish
in the conversation.
In this conversation, yeah. That's why I picked this one as the third one, so you could see like all the really good pros of being empathetic. But that's the thing; he's so empathetic and such a good listener. He's letting them control the conversation to the point where they're attacking him, and then he has to sit here and keep qualifying. Which is crazy. If I was in this situation, I would be destroying these people. I'd be like if Larry King was like, you need a barber? I was like, why? Do you want to borrow him? I mean, your wig is looking a little messed up. And then he'd be like, what? I don't have a wig. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. I was just making assumptions. I'd be losing points because I don't care about that relationship. I'd be like, you don't make fun of me. But some people would say that's aggressive, me being mean. And at that point, I would technically be disqualified. My audience would be seeing that as a negative. Right. So what do I have to do by the end of that conversation?
I
have to save the cat, which means I have to show that I have empathy, which, by the way, I could easily do that by just after I make that comment, just continuously turn it around and give him compliments. Like let's say we got past that and he starts going, was it difficult to work with this director? Did it ever feel like it was eggshells? He's like, no, it was pretty easy. Like, I know watching you all these years, the way you're comfortable with your audience, your guests, and like you really bring out a lot of good emotion in them. And I think that's important on set. Is like you should just be able to be willing to just hear and listen and be. Now, what am I doing?
You're qualifying him.
I'm not. I am qualifying him, but I'm gaining points because I'm elevating him. My behavior was based on something he's been doing his whole life. But I'm not saying I do it because of him, but I'm saying
that you would, in that situation, you would be like, all right, I'll give it back to you.
Yeah. So, you gotta learn to be a good tactician. You have to learn how to stand up for yourself. You can attack people, but like I said, I could go into a conversation. People hate me in the beginning and then they love me at the end, or I can move it around. They hate me. And then by the end, they're just like,
I don't even know how I feel.
Why do I want to make love to this man?
What just happened?
And I'm a dude. All right, let's keep going.
It's tremendous. What worked for you? What about this movie?
It's just, I don't think that will work. As soon as the camera rolls, he tries it anyway. He tries
Well,
it
it's
anyway.
only film.
Well.
If it doesn't work, cut it out.
I think it's going to be a big hit. It really is. I think it's tremendous. What worked for you? What about this movie?
It's just, I always go with my gut. I responded to the material. It reminded me of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. It didn't matter what they were doing or what was happening around them. It was really about the two guys. If you remember Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, they were being chased by something that never really appeared, right? So
Who are
it was,
those guys?
Yeah.
Who are those
so
guys?
It was like,
That's right.
so it was up to us, to earn one another's respect, and that was the relationship. It was the movie, or whatever the backdrop was in the setting was.
I'll point that out. It's a little moment, but where Larry King goes, "Who are those guys?" He's referring to Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kids, right? And Sundance, without saying, "I know that movie." That's the Rottweilers have rust colored feet.
Yeah.
And then Denzel did it too. He was, who is that? So they qualified each other. Therefore, they just got points together. They were like, oh, we have something in common. Mark Wahlberg, on the other hand,
completely just kept going. and
Kept
ignored
going.
it.
We're gonna listen to it again.
It's interesting too to note here that like Denzel is very sullen faced, and in the other two interviews, he was always very happy, cheerful.
Yeah.
Like Denzel's like, all right, how much longer do I got to be here?
Oh yeah, he doesn't
Like
want to be
he's
there.
like got his hands all together. He's just like,
We can't presume to know what he's thinking, but you're probably right. All right, let's
If it doesn't work, you know, cut it out.
watch.
I
Mark
think it's gonna
Wahlberg
be a
just
big
keeps
hit.
going. This is so good.
It really is. I think it's tremendous. What worked for you? What about this movie?
It's just, I always go with my gut. I responded to the material. It reminded me of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Very
It didn't
much.
matter what they were doing or what was happening around them. It was really about the two guys. If you remember Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, they were being chased by something that never really appeared, right? So
Who are
it was,
those guys?
Yeah.
Who are those
so It was
guys?
like,
That's right.
so it was up to us.
Literally
to
just
earn one
talks
another's
right over
respect,
them.
and
Just
that
keeps
was
JDing
the
it,
relationship. It was the
Man.
movie, or whatever the backdrop was and the setting was, and it also happened to
Doing it
have a great
perfectly.
story and some kind of really interesting plot points and twists that made it
None of this is important
nice
to sell a movie.
combination of drama, action, and comedy.
How about the cast?
a drama.
Great cast.
Edward James.
So Mark Wahlberg is just selling. He's just selling this movie. Oh, it's great this, great that. It's good. He's not really talking about the adventure. What happened on set? Now, in the other interviews, as terrible as those were, in a way where Jimmy Fallon, it was about him, and Jamie Foxx gave the most. Jamie Foxx's interview was the best out of these three, and the reason is because Jamie Foxx and Denzel were sharing moments of like who they are, and like they were laughing together, and
And you could see them actually like having an experience.
well, they were enjoying each other. But more importantly, we were seeing the emotional ventures of Denzel Washington's experience in life, the way he loves his kids, and then like the way he was on the way he said, the hurricane, and Equalizer too.
Can't be sexy in a hurricane.
Right. So those moments are telling us the behind the scenes and stuff, so, or even Jamie Foxx, even though he made it about him, he was talking about like, when I remember seeing you when I was younger and you did this thing. And then Denzel was like, oh yeah, I would do that. That's all emotional adventure. Even though it was Jamie Foxx made it about him, Denzel maintained the emotional adventure within there. He didn't make it about himself. Well, Jamie told the story, but it was emotional adventure for Denzel's life, because by saying, oh yeah, that's my move, it's saying that he does that to everyone, and you're learning about him.
You're like personal space.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's keep going.
James almost.
And Bill Pax and all those guys, Paul, Pat, and Fred Ward, they all came to the table because they all had great parts to play.
Yeah, they did. It was almost, this is a new career. Don't you think?
All right, artists, listen to this. All right, so he's saying people came to the table because they had great parts. Every part's a great part. Doesn't matter if you're a waiter with one line or an extra with no lines. You're doing something that you get to be an adult and play imaginary. Like you get to use your imagination. You get to just have fun. Saying stuff like that is devaluing, I think, to people. What he just said about those other actors is, if it wasn't a great part, they wouldn't have really came to the table. They would have just came for the paycheck. So to me, if they hear this interview, it might not be where they're like, what do you say? But hearing it, your brain recognizes positive and negative interaction. So they might take that as a negative point. But obviously, if they, a huge pile of points, it won't even influence them. But if you're getting closer and closer to no points, you hear that, you'd be like, what did you say about me on? I'm telling you, that's how it is. If somebody calls you out on your bullshit, your points are running out, buddy. So this is what's going on in this situation. Anyway, look at Denzel's happy again. See, he got through it.
It's sensational.
Almost, I always think back to, obviously the signature role in Miami Vice, but not that I was intimidated, but, as you think of Edward James, he's a serious guy, and so it was great to have fun and like snap a towel and hit him in the head. You watched him piss on his hands, I was like, oh, okay, he's a good guy. I think he had fun.
Oh, he had a blast.
Yeah, he had a good time.
Great
You
guy.
agreed to be hung upside down for 2 days.
That was emotional adventure, by the way. He's talking about how he knows the guy from the Miami Vice, the original one, and he got to play with him on set. That's all emotional adventure. So if he had posted that on social media as a marketing thing, if he's like, oh, I got to play, I can't believe today I got to play with so and so from Miami Vice, and got to flick him in the head. Got to play around by flicking him in the.
And then we also got to see the way he traveled, because like he went in feeling a little intimidated because it was something that he was like, oh, like this is someone that I know, someone that I idolize, and then we see the shift in perspective of when he first got there to actually working with them. He's like, oh, this is
trials
this is
and tribulations. Yeah. That's right. Also, that story is inclusive. Mark Wahlberg was boasting. I got to work with these people, and then
he literally ends it with the other guy's perspective.
Yeah. What the other? No,
because he was talking. So I think. I think he had fun, or they liked it.
The director told us.
Yeah.
What was that like? I've never been hung upside down.
Not fun. And you know, here's Eddie, because the first scene we did with Eddie, we had him tied up.
Right.
So we're giving him all kinds of crap. We're slapping him in the face. I'm throwing all these insults at him. And then a month later, we're tied up, upside down, and he's getting to give it back to us. He thoroughly enjoyed it. It was only supposed to be one day, but he kept acting like he was forgetting his lines, so he drag it out as long as possible.
What is it like to hang upside down?
It's good for the spine.
Really? But the blood rushes to your head.
The blood rushes to your head, and there's a huge bull. I think we knew it was going to be funny. It wasn't fun, but it was going to be funny.
Was it a hard movie to make? There's so much action, so much movement.
You know what?
Physical.
It was difficult at the time. I mean, you're in Louisiana in the middle of the summer, in some kind of uncomfortable situations in New Mexico, but not that bad. I mean, the minute it's over, only thing I remembered was all the great times we had, and that we had a real...
Yeah, this is a terrible interview. So basically,
Denzel's pretty much just hanging out in the back the entire time.
Yeah, but more or less, the way Mark Wahlberg is talking, he's just saying what happened. This is telling. But like talking about being upside down, and like we gave him crap, and then when we were there, he was forgetting his lines, and I think he was enjoying it. That's adventure. But these long, drawn out explanations, they're just telling, and this is the difference between.
So like when he's like, oh, when you're in like Louisiana, it's not fun.
It's not fun. That's telling.
It's hot in summer. Yes,
yeah, but it's still not. It's not adventure, because it's just like it's hot when you're in Louisiana. It's hot. Summer it's hot. That's telling. Right now, he's just telling.
Shot to do something interesting and entertaining. I'm making Transformers right now. That's a hard movie to make.
Transformers.
He just boasted, but I'm making Transformers. He disqualified this movie. He devalued the movie by saying no, Transformers is hard.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's harder because...
That's a hard movie to make. Well, the schedule, the action, being wearing a harness every day, being hung off the side of a building, and I turn around and he's not there.
You're doing a movie in Boston?
He just disqualified Transformers now. He's saying working with everybody on Transformers is not as fun because Denzel's not there. Which in turn, he got points with Denzel, but he...
You could see it because he just glowed.
That's right, yeah.
When I was 20, I worked for I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York. I worked for the sanitation department. I was a garbage man.
You were a garbage man?
I was a garbage man. I worked the back of the truck, 22 square blocks. That's hard. Doing movies, there's nothing that we do in the movies that's hard.
I used to deliver for United Parcel Service.
All right,
trucks.
so
that was...
Larry King 100% up the hell out of Denzel. Now that we know what upping is, right? This is what it is. So Denzel is actually, he's doing something beautiful. He's basically saying, what I do is not that amazing, right? He's like, I'm not working hard. I get to play around. I'm having fun. Like, this is an easy job. He's really justifying other people working hard. He's being inclusive of the world, or in general, just like people who have like tough jobs, and
he's acknowledging like the work and the effort that they put in.
Yeah.
He's getting the topic away from, from whatever it is that they're doing here, and like the whole idolization aspect.
And now what Larry King's doing is he just took that energy and he's going to make it about himself. We're going to listen to it again.
What the hell?
But more importantly, listen to what Larry King said.
You're doing a movie in Boston?
In Boston.
What are you doing?
When I was 20, I worked for I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York. I worked for the sanitation department. I was a garbage man.
You were a garbage man?
I was a garbage man. I worked the back of the truck, 22 square blocks. That's hard. doing movies. There's nothing that we do in the movies that's
That's what I
hard.
used to deliver for United Parcel Service on a truck.
Right.
That was hard.
Yeah.
This is a joke.
Yeah.
Right? They're
People
paying
always
you.
say, why do you spend so much time preparing and everything? Because there's a bunch of other guys out there that would want my job, and I'm not going to do anything to mess it up.
That's right.
More with Denzel and Mark right after this.
Mark was boasting.
What are you doing in Boston?
I'm amazed.
Working with Antoine Fuqua again, who directed Training Day. And we're having a good time up there. And
You
this
played a bad guy again?
Not like that. Nah. This is a regular guy, works at like Kmart or whatever you want to call it, Home Depot. And it's a takeoff of the old TV series, The Equalizer. But it's really not like it other than in name.
Yeah, this
Selection
interview
of
happened way
roles,
before the
which is
first movie.
Interesting how actors. Do you ever turn down anything you regretted?
You know what? No, I don't have the one role where, and I don't really have the one role. I've dodged more bullets. I've passed on more
Really?
things that were tempting, especially for the money. But I've dodged more bullets than I have
Even things that
regrets.
didn't work out. You were
Yes.
glad you didn't take it.
Yes.
Michael Clayton, that was it George?
George Clooney.
Yeah, I didn't trust. I'll be honest with you, I didn't trust working with a director I hadn't directed before. I was wrong. And Seven, the movie Seven,
That's twice.
the part that Brad Pitt played. They asked me first, and I just thought, this is so dark. And then I saw the movie and tried. But just say God bless him. It was good for him, and it was successful. And
You did a movie for one of my friends that is to be a classic, Ted.
Ted, yes. He just saw it. He said,
I just saw it like the other night. I was watching it in the bus. That fight scene was great. Ted was, oh man.
He wasn't there when you were fighting, right? You were fighting nothing.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple things happen here.
Denzel is a master at just not talking about himself.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of said something about himself, but just to get him, he was trying to get involved in the conversation. But basically, what happens is Larry King, they're not even talking about Ted. And Larry King goes, what, in a movie, it was Ted. Ted is just something that around my people is amazing, right? And then Washington starts really going, Ted was a good movie. Like, he starts boasting, man. And then Larry King literally leans in towards Mark Wahlberg and starts talking, doesn't acknowledge anything Denzel said. And it just is watch Denzel's face, by the way, when that happens. It's just
Deflate.
You were glad you didn't take it.
Yes.
Michael Clayton.
Let's go a little.
That was it. And Seven. God bless him. It was good for him, and it was successful. And
You did a movie for one of my friends that is to be a classic, Ted.
Ted, yes. He just saw it. He said,
I just saw it like the other night. I was watching it in the bus. That fight scene was great. Ted was, oh man.
He wasn't there when you were fighting, right? You were fighting nothing.
Yeah. And that was
Denzel's just like, why am I even talking? Now, this is the first time I've seen Mark Wahlberg in this interview do an inclusive. So basically, Larry King leaned forward. Mark Wahlberg acknowledged that he ignored Denzel. And he goes, he just seen it
For the first time.
For the first time. And Denzel starts talking, oh, yeah, it was really good. So Denzel technically didn't bring it up. So Wahlberg gave it to him. And then Denzel qualified it by saying, oh, yeah, I did see it last night. And then he says, oh, it was really good. That fight scene was really. And then Larry King's like,
I mean, when we were doing that fight, he said, man, he was talking about the fight scene.
All right,
and
so
for me,
Wahlberg is being inclusive again because he realizes Larry King ignored him again. So because he ignored him twice. So he's just like, he was just saying.
The scene I didn't want to shoot, and the scenes where I'm singing, I didn't want to do. But
You don't
the fight
sing
scene,
well.
no, and I don't like to sing. I'll sing in the shower, but the fight scene was one of those things where there's 50 people standing.
Larry King made fun of him.
He just ignores it.
No, he had qualified it. I only sing in the shower. He's like, I don't like singing. I only sing in the shower. So he had to qualify the insult to give himself back value.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you qualify yourself. You're acknowledging the devaluing of it. Like, oh yeah, I really am sucky, but this is why. That's why I call it making excuses.
Standing around the crew members, and I've got to fake to get hit and smack myself with a guy standing there, pulling my pants down, smack him in the ass with an antenna. And I was like, there's no way this is gonna be in the movie. We shot it for like 2 days, and it's one of the most talked about scenes. So I
Did you memorize all those names?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, you rattled off the
Because I
names
was
of
watching
the,
real close. I said, is he reading that? But his head was moving around. I said,
the names of the girls. How'd you do that?
You know what? I usually
literally
start out by
ignoring
reading the
Denzel
script out
Washington.
loud twice a day for, say, like 8 to 10 weeks out from the start of production. But that was the hardest thing to ever memorize because there's nothing to connect it to. I was thinking, do I take a picture and put it with each name and then I can visualize that? Or so it was just this thing where I just had to keep reading it and reading it and reading it. And it's actually kind of drilled in my head. I can't get all of it now, but Smith, Ruby, Taylor, Thomas, Lorraine, Chantel, Courtney, Misty, Trina, Reba, Cassell, Casey, Laundry, and it just had this rhythm about it. And it wasn't.
I don't remember what I did yesterday.
It's gonna be on his
But the
deathbed,
scene
and
wasn't
that's gonna
set
be the
up that
last
way.
thing
It was
you
set up
remember.
where it was like I'd say one name, he'd shake his head, then I'd say another. I said, this is gonna be 10 minutes long, and it's never gonna work. So I suggested to Seth, I said, why don't we just do it like we have this game that we play when we're sitting around smoking, that I'll like do something, I'll rattle it off as fast as I can, like a game show, and when I hit the name, you hit the buzzer. As I said, I think that's the only way it can work. So he said, sure, let's do it. And we did it, and we did a couple takes.
He's a genius, Seth MacFarlane.
I've never done a sequel, even though I'm doing the next Transformer movies. I wasn't in the ones before. But with him,
You're gonna make Ted too?
Yeah, and he comes from episodic television, and the idea that he has for the second movie is fantastic. And I think the first one was his first feature. It was a real learning experience
What's
for
Ted
him.
gonna do?
Oh, we're going on the road.
Yeah.
Man,
You know what made that picture work with all the cursing is that it was a bear.
Yeah.
A lot of women.
Yeah, so Larry King is devaluing the film, saying it basically was only good because of the bear, but he's also not listening to the story. He's not following up. This is all about Larry King's opinions. This is like he just needs it to be known that, you know what made that film work? So he's not listening to anything.
He's just like saying stuff.
Yeah, he's losing points left and right.
What about the scene where he goes for the job? What is
So much so, I'm going to rewind it. Mark Wahlberg ignores Larry King and just literally gets Denzel's attention by touching him, and then they're having their own conversation. Let's see that again.
But with him,
You're gonna make Ted too?
Yeah, and he comes from
No, he's like, all right. So Mark Wahlberg is talking about one thing. We're gonna let him talk about it. Larry King asks a question while Mark Wahlberg is talking. It has nothing to do with what he's talking. Just keep going.
He'd shake his head. Then I'd say another. I said, this is going to be 10 minutes long, and it's never going to work. So I suggested to Seth, I said, why don't we just do it like we have this game that we play when we're sitting around smoking, that I'll like do something, I'll rattle it off as fast as I can, like a game show, and when I hit the name, you hit the buzzer. As I said, I think that's the only way it can work. So he said, sure, let's do it. And we did it, and we did a couple takes.
He's a genius, Seth MacFarlane.
I've never done a sequel, even though I'm doing the next Transformer movies. I wasn't in the ones before. But with him,
You're gonna make Ted too?
Yeah, and he comes from episodic television, and the idea that he has for the second movie is fantastic. And I think the first one was his first feature. It was a real learning experience
What's Ted
for him.
gonna do?
We're going on the road.
Yeah.
Man,
You know what made that picture work with all the cursing is that it was a bear.
Yeah.
A lot of women took little kids.
What about the scene where he goes for the job?
See, I haven't seen the movie from beginning to end.
Oh, you gotta see that.
I came in twice now, 2 nights in a row. I came in on the fight.
You gotta see
Then when he
that.
lost a piece of the ear, he stapled the ear back on.
Yeah. No, you got to see the beginning when I make him go get a job. And he says this stuff to this guy in the grocery store. It is the sickest thing you've ever seen. And then he says the most horrible thing you could say to a person, and the guy gives him the job. He goes, nobody's ever talked to me like that. You're hired. Then he gets caught having sex with the girl in the fresh produce, and he gives him a promotion, makes him the manager. I mean, insane.
We'll be right back with Denzel and Mark right after this.
So funny.
We sat down for weeks leading up to production and just worked on the material and just did a lot of research and no, it wasn't hard to make. It was great material to begin.
He already asked a stupid question. I know I skipped over it, but he basically asked if it was a hard movie to make.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, some like listen to the
obviously
interview.
one of the great directors of our time.
Do you like the character?
You have to like the character. You can't.
All right, so he just said it wasn't that difficult to work on, and he said something. He's like, I really like the director, whatever. And he goes, did you like the character? Like, you know,
It's interesting. That I think we should point out is the fact that the Larry King is being so I guess harsh towards Denzel Washington. You can literally see and hear the difference in body language and tone and his voice and even just like his answers in this. Like even with like, you know, Jimmy Fallon being, you know, the entire thing being about him, Denzel Washington was still very high energy. He was like, oh yeah. He was you know, he's like, okay, this isn't about me, but like I'm gonna enjoy the experience.
Yep.
But like here, like he's just so like down.
Well, because of the points. He was losing points all over the place, you know, and he didn't. There's no points anywhere. There's just, you know, Denzel's trying to keep the points going. Between Mark Wahlberg and Larry King, the points in this conversation are just terrible. Let's listen to a little bit more and then we'll call it a day. But I just want to.
You can't, you know, I was taught in theater school that you have to love who you're playing. You know, you can't judge who you are. Now, the person, if you're playing a character that doesn't like himself, maybe that's one thing. But no, you gotta like the character.
All right, this movie, we got a few minutes left. It's got to do very well. Right? I mean, do you guys bet good on your movies? Do you say, I know this is going to do well?
I think you feel good about something when you make it. It takes a lot to make a good movie. A lot goes into it. You know, you got to have great material, great cast, great people both in front of and behind the camera.
You got to be happy with
and then everything else has to, you know, you have to get a little love from the movie gods as well. But I certainly think we made a great movie. People are responding to it in a way that, you know, you can tell the difference between people trying to be polite and people being genuinely, you know, enthusiastic about the movie. So we hope it does well. I'll do everything in my power to get it out there to people. And it makes it a lot easier for me because my job is to not only make the movie, but to promote.
I think watching this and listening to his interview, I can see why Mark Wahlberg does not come up in a lot of like inspirational videos.
Yeah. That's so funny.
It's like Denzel Washington is in how many like inspirational videos or
who
like
cares about people?
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg over here right now he's just trying to sell the movie, which isn't how you sell the movie. This is pushing. Now, are his movies successful? Not all of them, but, you know, again, like a lot of times, like I'm not going to see this movie, and we could probably ask a ton of people, did this interview make you want to see the movie? And I bet you 9 out of 10 times I go, well, you know, Denzel was in it. You know, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think this interview is what's making people. I would almost want to research, like I would almost want to do an episode where we just ask people, hey, why did you see Two Guns? You know, like
that's actually not a bad idea.
You know, but you would need you need 1,000 people minimum, you know, to do a real. Anyway, let's just watch the end.
And when I feel good about it, then I feel, you know, it's a lot easier to do.
How do you think it's going to
Ditto.
Are you good at betting how movies?
No, I don't go there, man. You know, I've been around too long. You know, but
empathy.
But now that, you know, with the tracking and all that, you get a sense of where you're going to be box office wise anyway. But what I haven't done, and I remember when I was doing the ADR, the looping work, you know, I had seen the movie 5 or 6 times, but I sat and watched it by myself, and they're like, oh no, you got to see it with an audience. So I still haven't seen it with an audience. You know,
I've seen it with an audience and they roar.
And yeah, that's what I've been hearing. Yeah, so that's what I got to do. Yeah.
It is. When you build it as the trailer doesn't tell you much. It's a comedy, right? It's a comedy action.
Good. Tell them.
It's a horror.
It is a comedy action thriller, as good as they come.
Good. Oh wow.
Hey, good luck to both.
Thank you, Larry. Good to see you, Mike.
Thank you, brother.
Good seeing you again.
Thank you, Larry.
Great meeting you finally.
Yeah, I know. Finally get to see you in person. It's not Beverly Hills.
Denzel walking the streets. Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg. The film is Two Guns. If you don't like Two Guns, take your pulse. You passed away.
All right. So that's what it looks like. All right. What did you learn today, Jenny?
I learned that Denzel is definitely a master at having conversations. I felt really bad watching, you know, him get verbally beat up in that conversation. I also learned that I upped a lot.
Yeah, it is true. Like breaking down like how he is. He's not a master at conversation per se. He's a master at listening and having empathy. You know, if he was a master at conversation, he would have easily, you know, mediated that entire conversation. Like Mark Wahlberg was definitely in control, but Larry King didn't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? But he's definitely a master of empathy and a master of listening. So he was just listening and allowing that to move it where he had to. Ultimately, what I was trying to do today is to show that, like, there is a system. You know, the way we talk to each other and the way, you know, sometimes you think people are having a conversation, but they're not. That Jimmy Fallon thing, they weren't having a conversation.
Jimmy Fallon was having a conversation.
Yeah, Denzel was there to listen to Jimmy Fallon, right? But meanwhile, he was supposed to be there for an interview. So that's why Howard Stern, I would love to do some Howard Stern clips, maybe another time. But Howard Stern is an amazing interviewer. And people say, no, he just makes people talk about like their love life and this stuff. And like, yeah, but he makes them, like I did to you, where you're like, you brought up food. I was like, no, I didn't. You brought up food. And that's what Howard Stern does. He, whatever you say, he asks you a question on that. And then however you answer it, he's listening. Yeah, he's not waiting there going, oh, so do you just answer, just say, yes, you like hamburgers. Do you like hamburgers?
Yes, I like hamburgers.
Now, when was the first time you had sex? Like, he doesn't do that.
I kind of want him to now.
Howard Stern doesn't do that. He doesn't ask you what he wants to know. He'll start off kind of casual, you know, thanks for coming in, stuff like that. But you might say something and he hears it.
He's like, oh.
And then he's like, let's, and he likes to explore. So if you just started talking about hamburger, like, hey, how's you doing today? And you go, oh, actually, I'm still enjoying a hamburger I had right before I got here. I was like, oh, what kind of hamburger was it? And you tell me, and you'd be like, oh, it's just a basic hamburger like this, but I got it at so and so. Oh yeah, how's that place? Is it good? I heard good things about that. That's not me saying I've eaten there. I've heard good things is qualifying that. Oh, let's talk about this. You see, there is Howard Stern's amazing at
he's a master.
He's a master interviewer. Yeah, he's definitely a master interviewer. I wouldn't say he's extremely compassionate, but he is a great listener. Like his empathy isn't always there. Like I've seen him like destroy interviews just because he was just, he wasn't being empathetic. It was just wanted to see how deep he could go because somebody was being so open. And sometimes he pushes
a little too far.
But when they open up, he'll push further on that. But they're not saying they don't want to talk about it. Like when you're like, I don't want to talk about boobs, they just keep talking about it. So he keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and then he gets like a high for how deep he can go. And then the other person just never at any point just says,
I'm done.
No. See, that's the thing. If you say I'm done,
they don't say I'm done.
But even if they said they are done, they lost the conversation. You don't say no. You know how I call you a no man?
Yes.
When you say no, you failed. In conversation, it's not about you saying no. It's about you directing the conversation. However, when you do it where you go, well, I tried to end the conversation by just saying, let's talk about something else. That's not you in control of the conversation. And you're actually devaluing the relationship, believe it or not. And you're devaluing your brand. Because it means that you got pushed and you have no strength. You have no will. You have no confidence, right? But an idea of, let's say we're talking about boobs, right? If I wanted to change the conversation, there's a difference between going, boobs are nice birds versus maybe going, what's your feelings for boobs? Or how many boobs have you seen? Because now you're being inclusive. And you're doing a reversal, and the reversal might lead to more boob conversation, but now it's not just about your experience with boobs. And that's the advantage of not saying no, because that conversation might go somewhere else if you're actively listening to respond. I mean, listening to hear, because let's say you did ask me about boobs, and I go, oh, yeah, boobs are great. I just love boobs. I've liked boobs since 12th grade. What happened in 12th grade that made you really like boobs? Well, it was We're not necessarily talking about boobs anymore. You're getting us into my high school years. And that's being in control of a conversation. But the moment you say no, or I don't want to talk about this anymore. This is anybody, not just you. I'm just saying. The moment you say no, I don't want to talk about this, or you make a joke to deflect, or you are losing points and the conversation. Because it means that you have no value to that relationship. Not you in general, I'm saying the front of it.
Really?
Yeah. There's no value to that relationship to allow it to maintain some sort of movement. It's just like, no, you don't deserve this part of my conversation. But if you feel uncomfortable, if anyone feels uncomfortable with a conversation, your job is to just reverse it and not be like, I don't want to talk about boobs. What do you like boobs? That's wrong too. Why?
Because it's not having part of the conversation. It's just saying,
well, it's not a true reversal. A reversal allows empathy. You know, boobs. Yeah, I got a lot of boobs, Well, how many boobs have you gotten this week? But not like, well, how many boobs have you gotten? It has to be like, yeah, I like.
It has to be organic.
Yeah.
Get out of my head.
Get out of my head. But that's the difference between being in control. When somebody, especially like if you do it, when you say no, or I don't want to talk about this, or you just change it, you're showing brand value. You're also devaluing the relationship. Even though I'm technically not taking the cues, right? It's the frustration of your inability to be in the moment that is devaluing the points. You're the one losing the points.
Interesting.
Even though, because first of all, think of it like this. You know how I say it's a selfish act?
Yeah.
Because it's about you. If you don't want to talk about it anymore, the conversation is about you, and therefore it's your conversation. But if you become inclusive and reverse it, now we're having the conversation. So the moment it's about you, that's why you lose the points. Do you see how that works?
That makes sense.
Isn't that insane?
I mean, it definitely is not insane, but it's also once put into that perspective, it definitely is eye-opening.
Well, it's like when you talk to a teacher when you were younger and you tell the teacher, I don't understand really what's going on. Can you please explain it? And they go, well, it's in the book. Read it. They're not hearing you. And now you don't feel part of that conversation. And they just told you no. So they lost points. And you go, they're not my favorite teacher. But if a teacher goes, I'm not understanding. They go, you know what? One of the best ways to really work on understanding this is you look at they don't say the way I do it or the best way. They go, you know what one of the best ways is? And they sit there and they show you. That empathy means they heard you. They're helping you. And it's a two-way conversation because now you're listening, even though you really are the one talking. You need the information, right? So you go, one of my favorite teachers is so-and-so. They always showed me compassion or empathy. Even if it's a small moment, right? Because you built the points with that. So, but anyway, all right, we're pretty much done with today's episode.
I think this might have been our longest episode.
I don't know.
2 hours and 46 minutes.
Jesus. Well, this is definitely JD's last episode. But
everybody.
Anyway.
All
right.
Knowing you.
Well, I'm Thomas J. Bellezza. This is JD McGibney. I don't make this stuff up.
I make up at least half of it.
Yeah, Imperial hasn't been here for quite some time, and it's I don't know where he's gone.
I mean, is he invisible?
I don't know. Hey, don't work too hard out there, but be productive, everybody. And remember, you have to, at all times, flush the toilet. Because if it's yellow, you can let it mellow. But if it's brown, flush it down. Like, if there's anything you can get from this episode, you know what I really wanted to talk about today, but we gotta go. I'm starving. Is why do we poo and pee? But we'll get into that another time.
Oh my god. On that note, bye everybody.
Bye everybody. Woo!